So I'm going to be eating my dinner and we're going to be watching vegan YouTube at the same time. I'm going to try not to make smacking noises and things like that, but uh, I've got some pollo chicken from the Hispanic market. Pollo chicken. And I've got some tall boy White Claws, mango flavor, my favorite. The Coronas are better, but White Claw, I had the tall boys at the gas station I go to. I had to get gas tonight, so I figured why not? I'm really digging these keto-friendly seltzers. There was recently a new person that started commenting on my stuff, and this person inspired tonight's interaction on Let's Watch Vegan YouTube. Instead of you hearing everything from me, I'll let these people help you make your own conclusion based on what they're saying. One of the things that I think is the most disingenuous in the carnivore, keto, paleo, Mediterranean community in general is when we try to dictate what children should and shouldn't be doing instead of just feeding them a balanced diet or something that's very safe. What I find is that a lot of these vegan families, the children look very, very sick, almost to the point where they don't really care about their children. Look at Aga in America. Her little boy, if you look a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, he's almost made no progress in his growth in general. And if you look at the rib cage and the structural of the skeleton around the upper body, where the ribs come forward, this child's ribs are poking through the skin. The belly is really distended, like the child comes from a third world country, very, very bloated. The head is very deformed compared to what a regular baby would look like. It's almost like the sides of the face are smashed in, and it's more of an elongated head instead of a proportionate head. The little boy has, and he looks like the sweetest little boy ever. But why go through this abuse of feeding your child this vegan type diet and seeing that your child is not really making a progression and your child looks abnormally different than everybody else, but yet you still continue to do it? I mean, the odds are against you at that point. Or the vegan family in the UK, what were they, like late 30s, mid 20s or something like that? They had a child and they were feeding their baby a vegan diet from birth, but doing it completely incorrectly. Really, if there is a correct way, but I'm giving the vegans the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there is a correct way to do it, just most people don't do it. That's why they look like shit. And this child died. And there was another situation where the child was being fed nothing but the minimal, like ration type food, broccoli, beans, things that of very minimal, very small content. And it was like a 12 or 13-year-old boy that actually ran away from home and told his parents and his friends and stuff like that, or parents' friends, what was going on, and reported his own parents. I mean, these are several situations that go on over and over again. Last year, I commented on the skinny vegan athlete. There's an Indian school that allowed him to come into the school and stand up in front of the school, an auditorium full of children, and he baited these children. And when I play the video, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. He put little chiclets on the screen. He put little puppies and stuff and animals, and he said, "These are your friends. These aren't these so cute? Would you eat a chicken? No. Would you eat a dog? No." And he baited these children, and these children are going to remember this for the rest of their life. And these are the agendas that pop up, and people don't see the bigger picture here. They're not even allowed to draw their own conclusion or figure things out for themselves, because they already have people like this guy that thinks it's morally correct to do this, dictating that agenda for them. And it's very, very sad that a school would allow this to happen. And it's extremely disturbing watching the video play out. But, you know, deep down inside and verbally, I'm sure vegans are like, yes, 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 do it, do it, do it. And they're cheering the guy on. This is a hero to them. An adult that has nothing to do with your child and the decisions that your child makes. comes into a school and implants something in their brain so docile, so gullible, and you wreck them and ruin them at such a young age based on your ideology of what you think should be going on, you help ruin that child for the rest of their life because of what you believe that they should be doing. And the school allowed this to happen. Here in the United States, that would never happen. That's why this guy had to go from the UK to India to have it happen. In a lot of Indians, in general, if you look at statistics, Indian people have one of the highest uh, diabetes rate, and they're like second or third or somewhere up there. And if you look at a lot of the men and women as they progress and get older out of their 20s, they already start looking like they're into this diabetic state or heading in that direction. And you see them eating a lot of rice, a lot of vegetables and stuff like that. Well, what's the excuse then? It's not working for them. You know, if a vegan type diet or a vegetarian type diet is the answer, then why is a country that's so dominantly filled with rice, beans, different types of vegetables and greens and stuff like that, not doing them the service that everybody thinks that they should be doing, yet they have one of the highest obesity epidemics? Why is it that, uh, you know, people don't draw up the conclusion of that? This guy went to, and I think it was an Indian school. Let me try to pull it up right now and I'll screen share for you. And while the video is playing, I'm going to play it through all the way. I'm going to be drinking my White Claw and eating my pollo. So, I just got home. It's late. I told you guys I'd get out and do something tonight, so that's why I'm here. Let me pull it up. I'm going to leave the screen up right now, and I'll pull up the screen share. I got to pull up my my YouTube and go to the comment section because that's where it was brought back to my attention that notifications. So I'll screen share now. Go back, screen share, share screen, Chrome tab, YouTube, share. So here we are, and I got this notification from this guy Joe Blow right here. He said, "I'm glad you went vegan." Look at this other comment an hour ago. Greasy meat-eating piece of trash from this guy Joe Blow. If we go to my channel and if we look at, okay, so here's this here.
Almonds.
We're just going to pause it and we'll go down to the comment section. Oh, look who we have again. Joe Blow, the vegan. Keto isn't the answer. Vegan is the solution. The carnivore virus was created by eating meat. Humans can thrive on plants only, which means it's evil and cruel to murder animals for no reason. Of course, I have to like the guy's comment. So you like trolling my page, huh? Is what I tell him. Because of how ignorant I know you can be. If you disrespect me or you disrespect my page, I won't respond to you. But if you're respectful and you want to talk, I will. He says, go vegan. We don't need animal products to thrive. Well, first of all, let's start with Joe Blow. You have some very bad information. The virus did not come from eating animals. They've already moved on beyond that. They're starting to see that there's too many variables put in play here. The first like 30 people that were infected with the virus, like a third or half of them weren't even in the area where these animals were at all. It had nothing to do with this fish market. They're starting to lean more towards the idea that this was actually a lab-created virus in Wuhan, and it got released. They experiment on bats and everything else, but it was not to the extent of like the ignorance here that you're saying, where you say it was created by eating meat. That's completely false. That's just a talking point that idiotic vegans that are very ignorant to what's actually going on outside of the snowflake liberal realm. That's just something that they would use to try to ruffle somebody's feathers or create like some drama when it's not really needed. That's a very uneducated response. The virus was not created by eating meat, and it was not created by any type of market. And they're already pushing for more of a thorough investigation because Like I said, a third to almost half of the people that were originally infected had nothing to do with that meat market, had nothing to do with eating meat, and they were completely in different parts of that of the world in that area. So it's a very, very idiotic thing to say. It's not even remotely true. If we go back here, um, let's go to the video where he originally started responding, and now he's trolling my page. We'll go here, and we'll click on the video. First of all, let me give you some insight on this. This guy put this up September 24th, 2018, so a little over 2 years ago, right? September 18, September 20. No, it's not. A year and a half ago. It's got 3,400 views. His name is Skinny Vegan Fitness, and you can. This is extremely disturbing to me. It's disgusting, and the reason I say that is because they think that this is appropriate. They think that this is okay for them to do this type of stuff, and the parents won't stand up to this auditorium full of children here. Stand up for them to say, hey, I don't need you influencing my child. You're not their parent. You don't have a say-so at all in what goes on in their life. And for you to be allowed to speak in front of my children at such a young age and so gullible, they soak stuff up like sponges, and you influence them like you do, I have a problem with that. Even if it is completely the right thing to do in somebody's world somewhere, it's not your place to do that. So this guy, the creator of the channel, says this talk was from my visit to Choice School, Kerala, where I was given the opportunity to speak to around 500 to 600 children about animal rights and speciesism, which is complete trash. There's nothing ethical about what he was doing. They were very receptive, empathetic, hearing throughout my talk, which showed they had a great level of emotional intelligence. I truly believe that we don't give children enough of a voice in these important matters, and I am forever grateful to Choice School for allowing these kids to face such an important subject, and give their voice. Well, you didn't give them a chance to voice anything. You baited them. You put pictures of nice, kind animals, this fluffy animals, really cute animals in front of the screen, and then you made them feel bad for eating them because you have an agenda. That's not giving somebody a voice. Giving somebody a voice is letting them see how the world operates and drawing up their own conclusion based on their own life experiences to say this is what I should be doing or should not be doing. Not some Yahoo getting up in front of them and baiting them into believing that they should be doing something that they're not doing, or that you don't want them to do. I left this 1 year ago. This is so fucking disgusting that they would allow you to manipulate these children's minds at such a young age, and they don't know any better. And there are thousands and thousands of vegans out there that are malnourished, and they put themselves in such a bad state of health. Now you're going to turn around and do this to these children, you fucking twat. And I meant every single bit of what I said, because that's disgusting. And look at all these people down here that are agreeing with this. Let's let some other adult that doesn't raise your children, has no say-so in their life at all, show up at their school and influence them to the point where things could change their life, regardless if it's for the better or not. They don't have a place. There should be a teacher, some kind of education going on. And this is not educating. This is baiting them, and this is just like the liberal agenda that we have now with this fear-mongering shit going on with this virus. Just like Joe Blow says, the virus comes from eating meat. What do they tell you to do? What are they suggesting that you eat with this virus? Joe Blow, this is for you as well. This might be an honor to you that you get part of a segment where I'm using your name specifically, Joe Blow. One of the things that they tell you to eat, because it has such a balanced level of bioavailable nutrients. What's the number one thing that people are buying? Eggs. So if you were so correct about the vegan diet being the answer, and you are all for the medical statistics and stuff like that, and it shows that veganism is the way to go, but they're recommending people eat eggs because of the amount of nutrients that's in them, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Not according to you. It is completely against what you're saying. What's the other second top thing bought for zinc and bioavailable nutrients? Animal flesh. Every time you go to the store, what's sold out? Eggs, milk, meat, toilet paper, hand sanitizer. You know why? Because you can live off that stuff very long and not have any kind of distended belly and ribs poking out. And just by eating meat in general and giving yourself a good bioavailable form of fatty acids and amino acids in general, your body responds in a very positive way. And you don't even really have to go to the gym to start building different types of muscle tissue and stuff that has been deteriorated over time just by doing that. Isn't it amazing how the body starts to react to things? What are your cells and almost every single thing in your body made up of? Fatty acids and amino acids. Where do you get those from? In bioavailable form with almost no byproduct, no shit, no fiber coming out, no loads of bathroom breaks 3 or 4 times a day, just normal passing from time to time. Where do you get those from? Oh, wait. What was that? Oh yeah. You're right. That's correct. Animal products. Look at this. I love this speech. This just shows humans are born vegans with natural compassion. Look at the brainwashing, the shit show going on here. I'm showing this and other videos to my nieces and nephew when they come to stay the summer with me. Mariah Mendez, you should be proud of yourself, letting another adult influence your child and teach them what they should be learning on their own, not from another adult that has an agenda. This is sad that these people would be okay with this. Thank you for doing this. It starts with the kids. Older folks are so conditioned. Yeah, you're letting somebody that's already conditioned and has an ideology and an agenda push it on your child. So you're doing the very exact, or you're pushing the very thing that you're trying to stand against on your child by supporting this. Look, there's just so much support. So much so. So much support. You know. Respect. What would be even better is if no one had any more children and humans would die off and the animals would be able to thrive without human rights getting in the way. Isn't this amazing? Just love the well thought out comments and the vegan mind, how deteriorated it is and how sadistic and twisted it can be. These people that believe this type of shit agenda. So let's play the video.
Vegan is interesting. Hello? There's so many of you. You're a little bit scary. Should I be scared? Amazing. So my name's David. I've come all the way from England to talk to you today. And I want to talk to you about animals. So who here loves animals? Wow, so almost all of you love animals. Before I start talking about me and the animals, I want to find out some things about you first, okay? So let's play this game. First of all, make sure we all understand. Put your hand up if you are a human. Okay? Hands down. Put your hand up if you are a dog. So we know how the game works. Oh, we've got somebody going on. So we know how the game works. So we're all human, okay? And nobody is a dog. Put your hand up if you are good at sports. Who's good at sports? Oh! Put your hand up if you are good at music, like singing, playing the guitar. Put your hand up if you're good at drawing, like art. You're all great at everything. Well, I know something that every single person in here is good at. Every single person. You're all good at thinking. You're all good at using your brains. All of you are. So I want you to think. I want you to look to your left, the person next to you. Look to the other person on your right. Look at the people in front of you. Look at the people behind you. Now, look at your teachers. Look at all your teachers. And look at me. Look at me. Now, do we all look the same? No. We all look very different, don't we? All of us are very, very different from each other. But does that mean we should treat each other differently? Should we still be kind to each other even though we look different from each other? Okay. What about this guy? This guy, yeah. This is a dog, okay? Now, the dog looks very different from anyone in here. Very different. But should we treat the dog differently too? No. So we should still be kind, even though the dog looks different, right? Okay. What about the chicken? And the chicken looks very different from the dog, and looks very different from me and you. So should we treat the chicken differently? Okay? But chickens and dogs, they are treated differently, right? Would anyone here eat a dog? Alright, but would anyone here eat a chicken? But you just told me that even though they look different, we should treat them the same. Right? We shouldn't treat them differently, even though they look different, right? We all just said that.
So there are different places in the world that actually eat dog. I mean, aside from here in the United States and the UK or whatever, where we actually, treat dogs as one of our kids, that's how we were raised here. But in China, that's a source of their nutrition. There's so many people there. They have dog farms, they have cat farms, they have horse farms, they have all this stuff going on there. We fortunately, but fortunately, but unfortunately, don't have control over what goes on in China. They have their own democracy, socialist-driven, globalist type, whatever environment over there, where we can't control that. So that's the norm over there. That's how those people were raised. Why didn't this guy go to China and do this speech? You know why? Because it would never happen. It would never happen. And I'm sure that India, they're desperate for some kind of nutrition change in these kids' lives, especially with the statistics being what they are with diabetes and how sick they get. So I can understand why they would allow this, but at the same time, I don't understand why they would allow somebody to condition a child like this with this baiting type, not to this age range. Maybe move up to like 14-year-olds and above, not 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds here that they don't know any better. They've done nothing in life, and they haven't even begun to develop into the type of person that starts to follow a path of what they like, the toys they like to play with, the games they like to play, the types of girls they like, big, small, skinny, whatever it is. They don't even know any of that stuff yet. But now we're planting these seeds in their head, trying to. You've seen every one of those kids. They love chicken in India. They all eat it. I'm eating it right now. Pollo. I'm eating it right now. I love it. It's a good source of nutrition. I love the fatty parts of chicken the best. A chicken is food to me. A chicken doesn't serve a purpose in my life. I know some people actually like to have chickens as pets. Whatever, they lay eggs. They're cool. They pet them. They bring them in the house. Some people are like, some people are like that. A dog is my friend. A dog can emotionally support me. A dog can do a number of things. It can open a door for you. It can be a guide dog. It can do so much to work with people with disabilities and stuff like that. Chickens can't do that. It's a bird. It's food. I mean, I'm sorry. But notice every one of those kids raised their hand whenever they said who would eat chicken, even after he referenced, I thought you said you're not supposed to treat them any different. Well, you are. The dog is my pet. The chicken is my food. At the end of the day, I'm eating the chicken. I'm not eating my dog. Maybe that's just because of that's how I was raised. But it makes more sense to not eat an animal that serves a purpose, that can support you in so many other ways, than an animal that doesn't even serve a purpose. What does a chicken do for anybody other than keep the bugs away and keep the garden weeded? It serves as a great purpose of food. In my life, that's what it is to me. It may be something different to you, but to me, that's what it is. It just boggles my mind that this is the type of environment that these children have to be exposed to, with somebody trying to do this bait and switch, planting a seed like this. It's ridiculous.
You told me that we are eating chickens, but we wouldn't eat dogs, but the only difference is that they look different. Right? They're both alive. You can cuddle a chicken, or you can cuddle a dog. I'm going to show you a video, okay?
They're very different. This is disgusting.
Now, you see that? That's a baby chicken. That's a chick. It's a chick, exactly. Now, that chick likes to be stroked and cuddled.
Here's the baiting that's going on, the lying. When you take a bird and you put them in a certain position or you rub them in a certain way because of the way their body's developed, it almost puts them in like a trance-like state. It kind of neutralizes them momentarily, like whenever you touch a shark a certain way, and it just kind of paralyzes them. Same thing with a bird. You can lay them a certain way. It may be specific to the bird or whatever it is, and it may not. We use it as a sensation of saying that it feels good to them when really it's not necessarily a feeling to them. We would assume it's the fact that you're almost putting them in this paralyzed like state where a dog can give you cues and sounds or signals that, hey, you start scratching their butt, they start wagging that tail and they back their butt into you and they're like, hey, that really feels good. And you can see the kind of smile that starts on their face and stuff like that. They give you those reactions, those cues that tell you that they like what you're doing. And chickens can't do that. This is cute. It's nice, but what they're not telling you is this type of position that this bird is in and the rubbing of the tummy like that and the sun in their eyes is what making their eyes close. If you were to flip that little chicklet upside down on its feet and tried to sit there and stroke it without holding it, that thing would run off. It doesn't want you touching all over it. This is how they trick children into believing what's going on. A dog would not do that. If a dog was on all fours and you're petting that dog would be like, oh yeah, keep going. You do that with a chicken, the chicken would run away. It's not conditioned to people being all over it and touching it all the time. It's not a sensational feeling that they'd like to have. It's not conditioned that way.
Just the same as a dog. But we would eat the chicken. Well, some people would. But why? Because we see them as different from the dog, right? But the only difference is they look different. They both like cuddles and they both like kindness. The same way the dog wants to have the kindness and to be cuddled, the chick wants to have kindness and to be cuddled. They're not different. In some parts of the world, people do eat dogs, but not here, right? But not here. So we're going to go to the next page, okay? And we're going to talk about eating or loving, okay? So, a cow. Put your hand up if you think a cow is eating. Okay, wait. Put your hand up if it's the loving. Okay?
They're both.
What do you got there?
I love eating them.
Loving. Okay? The dog eating. Loving. The chicken eating. Loving. The pig eating. Loving. Eating. Loving. Okay. What I understand, that you're saying the bunny rabbit, the cat, and the dog are for loving, and the cow, the chicken, and the pig are for eating. Each each of these animals, even though they all look very different from each other and very different from you, they all have the same emotion. They feel happy, they feel sad. Okay? They have happy days where they're feeling very energetic and fun, and they have sad days where they don't feel very good. They feel pain, like when you fall over and hurt yourself. They also feel pain the same way. They get cuts, they get bruises. They all feel and want to live just like we do. Just like we love for a dog, we give the dog all of that love. Every animal on here wants that same love. They all want to just live life just like you and me, with kindness, happiness. Do you think it's kind to eat an animal? Do you think the animal likes it? Do we have to do it? So if we have to eat them, okay, we have to, then how am I still here? How can I be alive if we have to eat them? I'm a vegan, I don't eat any animals at all. But I'm showing you that we don't have to eat them. Okay? I'm going to show you another video, okay? I'm going to show you a video with a very special cow. I made a video with one of my best friends. One of my best friends is a cow called Vishnu. I'm going to show you Vishnu. I'm going to show you a little bit about him, okay? This is one of my very good friends, Vishnu. There, Vishnu. Vishnu is a big boy, but he's actually only a baby. He's only about 2 or 3 years old. Now, when people pay to eat cows, to eat meat from cows, usually when they're killed, they're only 2 or 3 years old. So they're only the same age as Vishnu here. Would you want to hurt Vishnu? Would you want to eat Vishnu?
Yeah.
I'm sure the answer is no, and I'm sure he would rather live here in this really nice place and enjoy the rest of his life.
I would like to eat him.
Now, these cows, they have their own personalities, just like you and me. They want to live, they want to be happy, they want to be loved. And you can see, Vishnu is just a big baby. We all want to have love and affection and attention and kindness. And we all want to have a nice life without any
We should make a
bad
deal.
things happening to us.
Vishnu can be our friend,
Hey, Vishnu.
and we'll eat the one next to him.
Say hey, Vishnu. Oh, he's a good
Better
boy.
deal.
He's great. What do you think about Vishnu? Nice? He's great, isn't he? He's a big baby. He really is. But what I said in the video, okay, it's very true. So when somebody is eating a burger, okay, or meat from a cow, that's Vishnu. That's Vishnu's age. So at 2 or 3 years old, that's when the cow is used for meat. At 2 or 3 years old, just like him. And you all shouted, does anybody want to eat Vishnu?
Yes.
No, but that's what's happening. If we choose to eat the meat from a cow, then we're eating Vishnu and his friends.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that.
Should we give Vishnu love, or should we take Vishnu and eat him? Love? Hands up, love. Okay. How would you feel if somebody came to you and wanted to eat you? Would you feel good or bad?
I would be flattered.
This is all we're trying to say when we talk about stopping using and eating animals. Is that they have their own minds like you. They don't want to be used or eaten or anything like this, just like you don't want to be. And there's a really, really easy way to stop. Okay? Now, one of your teachers mentioned before I came up, she mentioned the word vegan. And a few of you know what vegan means. Okay, so I'm going to explain what it means now. I'm going to tell you a bit about it. So we said earlier, somebody said vegetarian. So vegan is very similar, except a vegan won't eat anything from an animal at all. So no ghee, no butter, no cheese, no eggs, nothing. And also, a vegan won't wear anything. So no animal skin, no leather. They won't use animals also. No dairy products, no. Because the reason for no dairy products, okay, is, okay, what do you think a cow's milk is for? What's a cow's milk for? For drinking, but who should drink it? Us? Should we be drinking it? Okay. Put your hand up if you think cow's milk is for humans. Put your hand up if you think cow's milk is for cows. Me too, yeah, me too. So, if cow's milk is for calves, then why are humans drinking it? Okay, because it has protein and it's good for your bones, which is an intelligent answer. But is that the only place we can get protein and calcium? Cow's milk, is that the only place? There is a lot of other places. In calcium, you know sesame seeds? There's loads of calcium in sesame seeds. You know lentils? Lentils like dal, lentil dal? Loads of protein in lentils. Lots of people are vegan now. People in America, people in England, people in Germany, people in Spain, people in Australia, people in India, people in Nepal, all over the world, all together. What do you think about being vegan? Put your hand up if you think being vegan is interesting. Put your hand up if you think being vegan is not good. Put your hand up if you're not sure. You know, that's really good. It's good that you're not sure. And it's good that you're all interested. And it's good that some people think it's not good. Because what you can do now is you can go and find out. You can go home and you can, I'm guessing most of you have the internet. And you can find out. You can go research. You can watch more videos like this. And actually, I have another video for you. One more video. So what do you think now? This pig? Put your hand up if this pig is for loving. Hands down. Hands up if this pig is for eating. Okay? We all have decisions to make. We have choices to make. Every single day we get to make choices. We can choose to be kind. We can choose to be kind to everybody else. Or we can choose not to be kind. We can choose to be mean. Alright? When you see these animals, the only difference between them and you and me is they look different. That's it. So every day you can choose. Do I want to be kind to other animals? Do I want to be kind to the people around me? Or do I not want to be kind? And this is something today that I want you to think about. We can choose to be kind, or we can choose to not be kind. You can be.
Okay, well, we've heard enough of the being kind talk. I'll get to the comments. I haven't checked comments yet because I was over on the other screen. The fact of the matter is, any animal can be a friend, and any animal can be food, depending on what place in the country you live. You know, there are some places that like to eat camel meat. Some places like to eat donkey and horse. Some places like to eat cats and dogs. And as much as I don't agree with it, life is life, and that's just the facts. And I don't control what they do, and I don't control their government, and their government doesn't control what we do. So I don't have a say-so in that. But what I do have a say-so in is what I think is right and wrong. And when you pre-expose a child and you're planting seeds in a child's head, uh, and you don't let them choose things for themselves based on their experiences in life. And you know, that's like a child uh, that may be attracted to the same sex. Later on in life, they talk about naturally they kind of started feeling a certain way, and they just kind of knew by the time they were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. It was a very natural thing that they learned based on life experiences and the things that they went through. But it was not something that somebody was saying that you have to be gay right now. It was something that they learned. They felt a certain way. They matured and they reacted to things a certain way, and that's how they drew up the conclusion and they made the decision that this is what they were for or they liked. When you have adults coming into a child's life that are, between the ages of, let's just say, 7 and 12 years old. I don't know how old those kids were, but they looked very, very young. And there's 500 to 600 of them, and you put pictures on a screen of dogs and chickens and pigs, and you try to use words to manipulate the way their mind thinks of things based on your agenda that you're pushing instead of naturally letting them figure those things out for themselves. I think that's very disingenuous. I think it's a more lighter form of child abuse, and children don't know any better. If I was to say something very evil and very mean to a child that doesn't know any better, that would hurt them. That would be something that would stick in their mind no matter what. And you could try to do everything in the world to get it out. But if you make a child feel like they're doing something wrong based on your agenda and your beliefs, no matter what you do, that's something that's stuck in their head. It's very hard to get that out. It's almost like a form of tormenting them. And then not only are you destroying the relationship that they had with themselves and the food that they were eating before, you're destroying the relationship that they have with their family as well. Why did my mom let me eat this? Why did my dad let me eat this before if I didn't think about these things this way? So although this could be a sincere, completely sincere form of education on the vegan's part, there are so many other factors that can be put in play here that can tear things down and don't even realize it. This should be a family discussion. It should be a lifelong educational course that's naturally experienced by the child themselves, and they progress through maturity and they figure these things out on their own. But when vegans have an agenda, they have an ideology, they live a certain standard, they want everybody else to live that ideology standard and agree with them right now, right this second, because we have to save this animal right now. So the average person that thinks pretty logical, on a level playing field, that wants the same benefits and chances to experience things in life in general, would agree that this was unnecessary. But if you have an agenda, if you're built up on an ideology, are if you're after a specific thing in life, and no matter what it is, if you get to the end of what a vegan stands for, it's no animal products at all whatsoever. Zero, no vegetarian, no eggs, no nothing. It's no animal products, zero. So the vehicles that they drive that have stearic acid in the tires, every one of them should go trade the vehicles in now and never drive a vehicle again, because the types of products that are put into the very material that the car is built with is derivatives of animal products. The types of plastic and stuff on how they're conditioned, and the sprays and stuff that people put on the leathers and things like that, the material is made of, the different types of products throughout the entire system on what this vehicle is built of, the very products that they use in their homes and things like that, the different types of oils that are built at the factories that make the different types of vegan products that lubricate that machinery and things like that. There's a whole grand spectrum of things. And if you listen to what this guy said in that, vegans don't use any animal products. They do not suggest, sponsor, or partake in any type of animal product using at all. So the shoes they wear, the clothes they have, the makeup they use, the products they eat, the things that they drive, the utensils that they use every single day in their work and their environment and stuff in general is zero. Now, I know I'm stretching it a little bit here. I know this is something that is very, very, very extreme. But that's what the guy said. And if you look at the very principles behind what a vegan should adhere to based on this ideology social media puts out, that is the fucking standard. Bottom line, you cannot deviate from that. The vegan ideology and agenda says exactly that. In life, you do not use animal products at all whatsoever. Zero. There's no question. Now you have the closet vegans that don't, they're not to that point. They just don't want to be eating animal flesh. They don't want to be eating animal foods, but they still live a normal life outside of that. They're not people that are going out there and forcing their agendas and their ideas and stuff on other people. They're normal vegans. They let people live, and they live by example. They show by example. And they say, if you want to know why my skin's so clear, or why I've lost this much weight, or how I'm this healthy, well, I eat a vegan diet. If you want to know more, then I'll educate you further on that. But please ask me that. I don't want to force it on you. That is a normal vegan. That is a fucking normal vegan. But they don't care what other people do. They're living their life the way they want to live their life, and that's just that. People that have to get up in front of the screen and go talk in front of 500 to 600 children, pollute and contaminate their mind ahead of time, plant these seeds, be some kind of corrupter in the functionality of a child's mind in general. This is not a normal vegan. This is a social media clown that wants to be known for something, and they want their name out there. That's what it is. There's no other way to cut it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is what it is. Most vegans that are sensible people don't go around telling people that they're doing stuff wrong. They just simply live their lives. They're not trying to go talk in front of 500 to 600 children. They're not trying to tell people on social media and start YouTube channels to make other people feel bad. They start YouTube channels to educate people that want to be vegan. They start YouTube channels to help educate people on, this is how I live this lifestyle. I'm not saying it's for you. I'm not even saying it's healthy. I'm just saying for me, this works, and this is how I stay healthy. Now, if you want to follow my journey, then do so. Here it is. The ins and outs of the day in the life of this vegan. But no, it doesn't go there. What we see on social media is not those people. What we see is the vegan couple of freaking wackos, or Ryan and his chick, or whatever, the happy, healthy vegan hippies that trash talk everybody and want to be in debates and stuff back and forth. I showed up on Ryan's channel a few years ago when he was talking debate a vegan is what he popped up with, debate a vegan. So I said, all right, I'm going to take the bait. I jump on. I said, would you support a vegan keto diet? And no, this is how dogmatic, ideologically driven this vegan agenda is. I said, would you support a vegan keto diet? This means no animal products whatsoever. You know what his response was? Absolutely not. They don't support the high fat. It had nothing to do with just being vegan in general. There's a multitude of things that compound some of these dogmatic, ideological vegans that push this agenda. It wasn't just about being vegan. It was the fact that high fat from coconut oil was still not good enough for him. You have to be high carb vegan. Keep it carbs, baby. Keep it carb. This is Ryan from Happy Healthy Vegan. Keep it carbs, baby. Could not even support a vegan keto diet. So it's much more than just the agenda of being vegan. Still to this day, he won't explain why. My response to him was, do you know, by you being as dogmatic as you are, people that are interested in being vegan but could possibly want to try the vegan keto diet for maybe just a different type of fuel source, maybe it just fits the plan. Maybe they're in their studies and stuff and they need a little extra brain fuel. They need just a different source of fuel going on to try something different, because finals are coming up and they're just wanting to try it. They're wanting to experience it. Why not take the time to learn it and support it, because it's not against the vegan agenda. But again, this is an individual channel. I can't say all vegans are that way. And then you have the infamous vegan gangs. Those vegan gains. got the little chicken legs, got the big upper body, and it looks like if a big gust of wind came through, it'd blow the guy over because he's so disproportionate. But I guess the fact that veganism is doing him so well is why he can build up his lower extremities, right? It's the fact that the guy doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. But he's got 350,000 followers, 360,000 followers, just for the simple fact that he built his YouTube upon attacking people. And that really gets under the skin of those vegans. They love that shit when it starts boiling like that. They love that extra testosterone that they normally don't get the release of on the vegan diet. When they see somebody else attacking and ripping somebody else apart, especially if it's Joe Rogan or somebody like that. Vegan Gains loves that stuff. He thinks he's somebody when he goes against it. You know how many times I've went on his channel and said, bro, you're always talking about fighting people. I spent 5.5 years in the military, the majority of that combatives. If you really would like to put your money where your mouth is at, I'd love to whoop your ass. We can even put it on YouTube. Never responds. You know, it's kind of one of those things where there's a lot of vegans that are all talk and no action. And as many times as I've come on screen and I've called him on his challenge and stuff like that, instead of him calling people out, they cannot defend themselves. They've never had combatives training and stuff like that. It's another twisted mind of somebody that just likes to be heard. They've got an ideology. They like to be heard. And it just, the mindset of a lot of these vegans, if you just follow them over a period of time, they start kind of wacky. They clear up. They go back wacky. They clear up. They go back wacky. They clear up. And it's just pattern, this roller coaster of up and down, up and down, up and down. And the mentality aspect of how a lot of them that we see on social media, I wish a normal vegan would pop up and just have a non-dogmatic channel where people could follow it and just learn how to be vegan. It's not even that I support it. It's not even that I think it's the right thing to do. It's the fact that I wish somebody would pop up and just be a normal person. But it doesn't seem to happen. And then you have that vegan channel where she actually talks bad about all the crazy ass vegans, but then she ends up being a crazy ass vegan herself. I don't understand the whole principle behind that. It's just a lot of this stuff that Mick Prick the Vegan, as Sean Baker calls it, Mick the Vegan. And then you have plant-based news. I mean, wow. Wow. The money that gets dumped into these videos and showing up to these events and recording everything and sitting down with these doctors and stuff like that, and it's unreal how so much of it's wasted based on ideology and driven agendas, and none of it seems to be normal. You know, as much as I'd like to sit here and make excuses and promote the positivity behind veganism, I cannot do it. The reason I can't do it is because it's just not there. We're not seeing it. We're not seeing people that are normal people pop up and say, look, I'm not going to talk trash about nobody else. I'm just going to show you how to be vegan if you want to be vegan. You want to follow my life? Here I am. We don't see that. And then you have the vegans. We're not off this train yet. This is probably going to ruffle a little feathers here. Then you have the vegans that turn carnivore, and then all of a sudden their life changes. It's that the epiphany that they have, the life-changing event where it's just mind blown, and they're like, oh my God, I feel so amazing. I've got all this energy. My skin's cleared up. My dick's hard. All this other stuff. I've got all this testosterone. And where have you been all my life? Eating pounds and pounds and pounds of meat over and over and over again. But they're so far off their rocker from being vegan, they forget how to be sensible people. Daphne Reloaded. I hope she sees this video too. What a crock of cuckoo shit. Holy moly. I ain't never seen somebody such a loose cannon in my damn life. I went on her channel. I left a comment. Loved the video. Complete support. Keep doing what you're doing, right? The more I watched, the more I was like, wow, is this something ain't right in this chick's head? The more I asked questions to other people that were commenting, the more I realized, oh, she was previously a vegan. No wonder why she's so dogmatic to everything when it comes from the vegan community, because it was killing her, and now all of a sudden she's thriving. And then I said something one time about, hey, great video again. Keep doing what you're doing. And she came over to my channel and she was like, dude, I love the stuff you put out. And I've been watching your stuff and I love it. But I didn't know you had those vegetables in the banner of your channel. And I was like, so what? There was like a tomato and a stalk of celery, but then it was like fish and chicken and beef. And she was like, why the fuck would you put that in your banner on your channel? And I was like, because it's a keto carnivore channel. What's the big deal? Why would you put vegetables in the banner of your channel? I was like, dude, are you are you seriously about to explode over this? Seriously? This is the vegan coming out of you that never cleared out of your mind, obviously. Or you're so jaded by the vegan movement in general that you're just going to go off on this. And she was like, I like what you're saying, I like what you do, but I cannot support you. You have vegetables in the banner of your channel and stuff, and I just think it's ridiculous for you to be supporting eating vegetables. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, it's simple. Eat them if you want or don't. I mean, it means nothing. My message is still the same. That's how my relationship ended with her. Crazy cuckoo shit, man, from these people, man. Crazy cuckoo shit. How do you even explain that? And then somebody said, look, you got to cut her some slack. She really did bad on the vegan diet, and she's got this really bad agenda towards them. And it's probably best that you don't support her for the simple fact that you do eat veggies from time to time, because she flips out about that stuff. And I was like, it's not my damn problem that she has problems. My problem is I'm working on me. I don't have to worry about what somebody else is doing. It's no concern of mine. For her to take that shit out of me because I have a stalk of celery and a tomato in my banner, she needs to eat some more damn meat or something to heal whatever's messed up. So it's not just the vegans. There are just as many carnivores that have went from veganism to carnivore that are still kind of fucked up in the head, man. Really wild stuff. So it's, what do you do? Where do you go from there? Where do you take it? I mean, obviously it's a pattern of this vegan diet destroying and destructing so much in general. Then you got guys like Joe Blow. He just refuses to see what's going on in front of you. They refuse to see people that are switching from a vegan diet and then thriving. What about Raw Bliss, the fruitarian that only eats raw fruit and smoothies and drinks and all this other stuff? The guy looks like he's dying. His body was gone. I think he went from like 165 pounds down to like 105 pounds before people on the internet was really starting to show extreme concern for, dude, every bone in your freaking body is poking through your skin. Your clavicle, your ribs, your sternum, your knees, your legs. When you have your thigh bone sticking through, you have a freaking problem. When you can see every damn bone underneath the skin of your feet, you have a freaking problem, man. This is not healthy. And I think finally he ended up in the hospital or something like that. And I think it was a little bit of a change. So he changed some stuff up. And I've noticed he's probably gained about 15 pounds, but he still looks super sick. And how could this be normal? How could people think that this is a normal thing? It makes no sense to me at all. And vegans continue to support this stuff. You know, I looked at the newest Joe Rogan podcast where he had some doctor on there, and this doctor was saying that carnivore doctors need to be in jail. It's literally blatantly what he was saying. Carnivore doctors need to be in jail. And Joe was trying to get to the bottom of not Joe, Mark Smelly Bell. He had this doctor on that was promoting veganism healthy, and just right out the gate, it was stuff like one of the first serious statements that were made within the first few minutes of the video. He was saying that carnivore doctors need to be in jail for what they're recommending. And Mark was like, I get what you're saying, dude. I get you have an agenda and you have to speak about it and stuff like that. And I want my platform to be an open platform for anybody. I don't want to censor nobody. But what you're saying is ridiculous, basically. And, so many of us have tried it and done it for extended, not just months or weeks, years. Cholesterol went down. Labs all came into check. I went from 165 cholesterol when I started keto down to my LDL was 165. I went down to like 118, 120, and then I kind of pulled it down a little bit more, I think 110. Then I went carnivore for 17 months and went down to like 88, 90, and then I started comparing my labs to like Ryan from Happy Healthy Vegan, even put a video out comparing mine to his and how much longer he's been a vegan than I was carnivore, and how my labs are consistently in check by doing the exact opposite of what he's doing and substantially better than his, because he's thought of to be one of the better understanding vegan, following the right nutritional macro platform and stuff like that. And my labs destroyed his. He would never comment. He would never come back at it. It was a consistent thing that I was constantly picking out different vegans to say, if you're correct, my cholesterol is going to be through the roof and I'm going to die this early death, and me being still overweight is going to kill me and stuff like that. Why is everything that you're saying wrong? How come it's not in the slightest form correct? Yes, I'm still overweight. Yes, I still eat a ton of meat, 4 or 5 pounds. I've lost a lot of weight. I went from 405 down to 250, started bulking up and doing the whole gym thing, following like Keto Savage and Goody Beats and everybody else, and really pumping the protein and fat and spending a lot of time in the gym, and started bulking up. But then over to like the last 6 months, I've kind of went complete lax. I went more of like podcast, blog type stuff, stopped getting so involved with the keto doctors and the craziness that's going on with all the shit that they're selling and the conspiracy story or the stuff that's going on in their life and stuff like that, and started doing just me, kind of being more relaxed, not gaining any weight, not getting any unhealthier, just kind of living life a little bit, trying to get myself together financially at work and stuff like that, but still eating the same type of diet. And my question to them is still the same. If you were correct, if what I'm doing is going to kill me, how come I've been doing it for so many years now? Years, not 1, not 2, not 3, like going on 7 years straight now. Why am I consistently, every time I go to the doctor, nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about. Labs are great. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect. Your heart's fine. Everything's fine. If you were correct, if I consistently kept doing this, then, I would have all these problems. You talk about erectile dysfunction, that motherfucker gets rock hard. I mean, I don't have no problem with that at all. You talk about going to the bathroom and stuff every single day. I have no problem going to the bathroom. It might be just a little bit each day, but I still go to the bathroom. All these things that vegans bring up as their talking points, and none of it fits me. And then they're like, what do they turn around and they turn to you and say when you get to that point? Oh, that's just anecdotal. You can't base that on everything. Well, then, damn it, if you're so correct about everything that you're saying, how come it doesn't fit me at all? So then I should continue to be able to live my life the way I want, eating as much meat as I want, doing the things that I want. If everything that you've said so far is wrong, other than the ideology behind using animals as nutrition. So if you have 100 talking points and 99 of them are wrong, and the one point that you think animals should not be used as food is the only thing that you could justify, why in the hell would somebody want to listen to you? Makes no sense. Okay, I'm going to turn to the comments. I haven't been checking them at all, so I apologize. I've been focusing more on the camera, because if I focus on the camera and my message, I can get it out. If I start looking at the comments, then you get somebody disruptive in the middle, somebody trying to take you off topic or whatever, then your message doesn't get out. So I hope that you guys appreciate that a little bit more lately, that I've been doing that and not focusing so much on the comments until I've got done saying what I'm saying. It just makes it for a cleaner message, I think. So back here. What I was eating, Kelly, was pollo. It was just it was like a pepper basted, like a chicken. I got a whole chicken for lunch, and it was like paprika and cayenne or something like that. And then they bake it. I told them I didn't want anything with sugar or nothing like that. So I do have some seasoning sometimes, or some other things I probably shouldn't have, but very rarely. Just had some yummy baby back ribs. Nice. Good gravy. Show them African American. Show them African nature videos, and ask exactly right. If we went to like some of these tribes that live in these other countries and how they kill and eat animals, it's crazy. Exactly, just like Rich said here. If it was the animal's choice and that's what you had to eat and that's how you were raised, you would eat dog. My buddy's from China, and he's all American, works on big giant diesel semis and stuff like that, over the road equipment, HVAC stuff on like refrigeration units and stuff. And he's 100% Chinese. He loves American culture. He loves American cars and equipment and stuff like that. But I asked him one day, I said, so you guys really eat dog and cat and all that stuff? And he said, oh, yeah, donkey. The horse meat is very, very sweet. It's very delicate. It's very easy to digest. So we do love eating that. Dog is another thing that we eat from time to time because it's really easy to digest. And he said, Rich, I know you're probably going to think different of me. I said, no, I understand that's your culture and that's what you do. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. But I like you as a person. I'm not going to judge you. And he said, dog is just a very easy digesting meat as well. And he said, we could treat them better and stuff like that, but that's just the culture there. I don't dictate that. I can't dictate that. Kelly says people got to eat. That's correct. Val, yeah, my chicken doesn't help out too much. I feel the same way. Chickens, I mean, I've known people that really like chickens. They have them around as pets. They pet them. They soothe them and stuff. That's fine. The other 99.99999% of the straight, sane people out there, it's food. I would love chicken as pets. They would be for providing eggs primarily when old stock. Exactly. This is what I feel as well. I 1000% agree. My pet chicken is sleeping in the chair next to me right now. If you're asking how old the kids were, Rich, it's they looked like they were, I think, between like 6 and 12 years old. I mean, they were really young. None of them really looked like 6 and 10 years old, maybe. Just kind of going through the comments right now to see exactly, like Kelly said, this is total brainwashing. You can't ethically be happy with yourself doing what you're doing the manner that this guy did this in. You can't, or morally I should say, not ethically. Ethically they think everything's correct that they're doing. So this, here in the United States, that would never fly. Parents would be livid if something like that happened, just for the fact that that's up to you, and really not so much up to you, but that's up to the parent to decide whether or not that talk needs to happen about veganism and using animals as food and stuff like that. That's not up to some random guy that nobody knows, and he's got 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, he's not even a YouTube celebrity. I know he plays a part in the vegan community, and I get that they respect that, and they like the fact that he did this. But there's a bigger percentage of the rest of the world that probably despises this. Exactly. He should not be discussing any type of nutrition with those children like that. Here, this was one of my biggest concerns. Exactly what Rich said right here. What drama does a poor family have now when their child comes home and won't eat eggs and meat after the vegan show? That was, I'm trying to get, this makes me kind of emotional. What is that parent going to have to deal with when that child comes home and says, some man came to my school and now I don't want to eat the food that's keeping me healthy and I'm able to sustain my life on and my school studies, and now everything has to change because some man came and influenced me, and then that parent has to deal with the aftermath of all that. It's much more than just preaching veganism. There's a proper way to do this if you're going to do it, and it's not to these children. It's a very piss poor way of getting this message across. My biggest thing is now what happens when that child goes home and fights their parents tooth and nail because they don't want to eat nothing that's provided for them, and then they get sick. Their whole life has to get restructured because of one guy, one vegan that thought his ideology and method was better than anybody else's, and he should plant that seed in a child's brain. Sorry, I'm not. Um, they save money now that the kid only eats beans. I mean, and that's arguable. Save money. A lot of people say you save money on a vegan diet, but then have you seen the organic vegetables and everything else that it's $1.75 for a little small tomato, or $2.50 for one cucumber that's organic or something like that, when I can go over to the meat department and buy a pound of beef for $2.25, and it's going to sustain me longer. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I just don't get he just put the seed in some of their heads to eventually destroy their nutrition. This is exactly what it is. I'm choose to be kind to animals, but I'm definitely going to eat them as well. I'm going to be kind up to the point where I eat them. It's just going to happen that way. I agree, Rich. We'd probably be much more vegan society if every person personally had to pull the trigger to kill an animal they eat. I agree. We would be much more vegan. Um, I've done it before. I've killed a cow. I've killed a deer. I've killed coyotes. I've killed nuisance animals on the property. I was a farmhand, so I had to put sick cows down that were sick. Um, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But once you get to a point where you've done it so much that you start realizing this is food, this is not a friend, it gets easier. But it's still never easy. It's still something that you always like, man, I need to survive though. To me, certain animals are food, and that's just how it is. That's life. And then they talk about the carbon footprint and the sustainability, rotational crop farming and stuff like that. A lot of vegans don't realize that they eat the vegan food and they live the vegan lifestyle, but they've never lived to figure out what actually happens to grow crop. I worked at a co-op down in Arkansas, Ace Hardware, Balt's Feed and Ace Hardware. Balt's was the company, or the family that owned Ace Hardware, but it was a co-op. We mixed fertilizer, animal food, feed, cow feed, dog feed, and I would mix these fertilizers and stuff up and take them out to these farms. And you'd be surprised the amount of pesticides and chemicals and everything else, even on the stuff that's supposed to be non-GMO. It's supposed to be, all completely vegan-based stuff, or the private farms and stuff like that still have animal derivatives in the ingredients that are derived under other names. That are hidden, and it's almost impossible to do that type of stuff without using animal-based products. You can do it if you have your own home and you can control everything that's going into it. But if you're getting it from an operation that you're not familiar with, or you're not there to see the activity every single day, it's not going to change. They use animal products in everything, and that's part of the reason why I took that horticulture class down in Louisiana last year before I moved back to Illinois, because I wanted to learn as much as I possibly can about this stuff. And when you're out there on the farms grafting trees and plants, you're looking at different diseases and conditions and how to fix the fields, and how plants have a reaction. Plants have feeling type stuff just like humans do. They react to the disease and sunlight and stuff just like anybody else would. The sunlight comes up in the morning, the plants are tipped one way. As the sun travels, the sun sense that heat and that activity in their feeling type loin, and they move with it, just like disease and stuff like that. the phytates and oxalates and different things that they have that are fighting nutrients. They fight against different types of things from eating them. Um, that's their chemical reaction to fight what's about to attack it, and they know that, and they sense when they're going to be harvested and stuff. But vegans don't understand that type of stuff either. They might not be able to express a feeling of hurt and stuff like an animal would, but they still express it in their own way. They're each their own individual type being, and not being, but organism. And they still have to be, when one plant gets a disease, it could spread acres in just a matter of hours. This is not something that you take lightly. And a lot of people think, oh, eating plants and vegetables and stuff like that is, oh, you're just going to grow some organic crop and you're just going to eat it. It's much more than that. There's so much time, the equipment and stuff that gets used to harvest everything, the amount of fuel and the amount of animal rodent death that gets involved with the chemical runoff and all this other stuff. It's very rough, and vegans don't want to admit that stuff because they've been conditioned to say, well, that is animal harming in the minimal form, so there has to be some allowed harming. No, that's not what a vegan is. A vegan is zero tolerance for animal harm, animal use, zero. But they will make up these new definitions, and they'll try to stretch it as far as they possibly can, and they'll make excuses for that type of stuff. They don't understand. They've never been to the classes to react to the different types of bugs that die, the different types of pollination and stuff that get involved, the different types of genetically modifying that has to be done in order to have a plant survive in a certain climate so that we can feed people specific types of tomatoes and vegetables throughout the year. You have to genetically modify a lot of these tomatoes to live in certain climates where they don't belong. You have to genetically modify a lot of this rice and corn to grow faster. Even if it's organic, it still can be a GMO organic style because they want it to grow faster to provide faster. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into this that they don't pay attention to or they're not aware of, and they still continue to make excuses for being vegan. I know a lot of folks who would not eat meat probably if they weren't buying it all cut nicely in the grocery store. I know some people like that as well. I agree, Bob. I think killing animals should be experienced when the child is young to get comfortable with others must die so we may live understanding. I agree with that. Let's see. I'm all for increasing the standard of living for these. And this is the thing too. I openly admit that as an animal consumer, the one thing that I'm most furious about, even outside of the vegans, is how poorly we treat animals. We don't need to treat them like we do. Look at some of the Asian cultures that raise Wagyu beef. These animals are babied. They're given the best foods. They're cared for with the most sincere form of care for an animal. They brush them several times a day. They're out there petting them and stuff as if they're pets. They want them to live in the most comfortable, cared for environment before they're used as food. So up until the point where they're used as food, they don't even know what's going on. It's just done before they even realize what's about to happen before they're harvested. And I know that's kind of hard for some people to understand, but that's probably the best way of harvesting them. Complete care all the way until the end. And I know we can't do that with every single animal, but the standard of care that we have for animals needs to change. There's just so much of this mass farming operation stuff going on that it's not cool, man. It really isn't. And so I will agree with people on that does need to be taken care of. Kelly said the same thing. In a situation like this, Rich, what does a vegan think if they see a lion eating an antelope? Do they hate the lion? They understand at that point that that is the natural habitat and the natural instinct of that lion. And that's how they're born and bred to do things. But they don't have that understanding with us because they believe that we can honestly digest 100% of our diet from plants and we don't have to do stuff like that. And a lion kills in a natural environment, and we don't do that. We rely on other people farming for us and processing for us, so then we don't actually get to partake and adhere to those standards of getting the blood on your hands, taking the animal's life, the connection to animal nutrition, like a lion would have. Right. That's, I should have looked further and just put that up. And the guy on stage looks rather unhealthy. I can see the lack of muscle tone. I eat once a day, don't work out, and still have more muscle than him. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is the fact that a lot of these vegans that have been vegan for so long, yeah, they do. They admit that they've been vegan for years and years and years. But when you look at them compared to the average person that is on more of a meat-based type diet, you can clearly see the connection with fatty acids and amino acids that person has with their food, and they're getting nutrient-wise, and how much more built and stout they are compared to, somebody like him. He doesn't have any muscle tone to him. He looks like a walking stick figure with long hair. And that's another thing. I didn't want to interrupt the video when I brought it up, but you notice how ungroomed lots of the vegans are. They're just hair all over the place, kind of look dirty. This doesn't look like they have a lot of skill when it comes to manscaping and stuff like that in general, and keeping themselves nice and tidy. It seems to be a complete pattern over and over and over again. The long hair, the nasty, greasy looking beard, just the lack of image in general. And I know I haven't, over the last couple of weeks, I wasn't doing that great until recently. I had to shave it all off and trim myself up because I can only let it go so far. But I see this constantly with them in general, this specific look. Even look at Raw Bliss, as young as he was. He had like the pubes growing from his chin, and randomly couldn't grow a beard or anything in general, but thought that this was attractive. The other fat kid vegan that was on here not too long ago, he's since disappeared. He had like the neck beard going on, couldn't grow hair on his face at all, but kind of had it down on his neck, and it was growing down, and it was like all nasty and stuff like that. I'm like, why is this consistently the image that I'm seeing from a lot of these vegans? It's the same type of image, look, pattern, and it's disgusting. I'm not trying to judge them. I'm just speaking honestly from an open standpoint. I noticed that. Factory farm cattle are only grain in the winter and the 3 months before slaughter. There's a lot of truth to this. A lot of people think that feedlot cattle are not ever grass fed. And that's the complete misconception that I've ever heard of in my life. That's the big mistruth to that. When these calves are born, they have to feed off mother, and the mother has to have access to grazing, and so does the calf. So they will actually be let out to pasture, so every animal can be fed grass a big majority of their life. They're not just stuck in some square pen only eating grain their whole entire life. I was in foster care at a feedlot type operation, 750 head of cattle, and twice a week the cattle were let out to roam, and they would keep the grass down and stuff like that. They would bring them back in. They would bring bales of hay and stuff in so they could have hay, and then once in the morning they would get a special mixture of like molasses type stuff, oats, grains, things like that they could eat. But the majority of their food was hay and grass. They did have grain. It was a feedlot operation, but it is nowhere near, and it was a fairly large operation for only one owner. 750 head is a lot of cattle, and they're sectioned off by sections. You get ones that need to be fattened up a little bit more. They might get a little bit more grain than the others. They might get let out to pasture a little bit longer than the others. Then you have the mothers that are probably feeding. You have the ones that are almost ready to go off to slaughter. And then you have the ones at the end that are ready. So whenever the semi comes in, he'll back his truck down to the trough or the path area. We'll shut the gates off at the end. And then we'll open the gate up to the stall. We'll let all the cattle out into the pathway. the semi will then drop his ramp and will herd the cattle into the semi, and they go off to be processed. It's a very low stress type of situation, and they're not under a lot of stress when this is going on. And if the farmer, even this feedlot farmer that I lived with, takes care of them appropriately, they're not stressed animals. They get plenty of hay, they got plenty of room to walk around, even in the square feedlots and stuff like that. You don't. Some people don't treat them correctly, but this guy treated them very well. He wasn't out there beating them and letting them walk or slap around in shit or anything else. The stalls got cleaned multiple times throughout the week. It was a very clean, non-nasty environment, and they were treated very, very well. This is a big thing here. Too many people become vegan without learning the nutrition piece, and it's a recipe for disaster. That's why a lot of these young YouTubers that come on, they don't know anything about it. They just seen somebody that they idolize go vegan, and they think they can do it too. Within months, they look like trash. I mean, just really, really, really bad. What did somebody say? I went too far. I'm trying to get to the end of the comments. What's your beef with the vegans? I've pretty much explained that. So I don't know that I should have to explain that again. I've spoke about that many times, so I think that you've got enough of that now. Baby Blue, this is the second time that you've ended up on one of my live streams. I'm glad you're sticking around and you're at least being somewhat communicative. I don't know any. I'd imagine being keto on a vegan diet would be hard. Absolutely not. It is not. Macro based, there's actually a group now that's growing fairly large that is a vegan keto group, and there's a lot of people are doing very well. Again, I don't have a problem with the vegan diet in general as long as yourself individually, you're making that choice. It was just simply a question for Ryan. I tried vegan keto for about 3 weeks. The first time I made it like 8 days in, I was losing weight way too freaking fast, and my energy levels were depleting very, very, very quick. I was going to the bathroom constantly, like uncontrollably, like several times, like 3 or 4 times a day. You shouldn't have to go to the bathroom that many times in one day. If you're going to the bathroom that many times in one day, you're eating products that have a lot of shit to them that your body has to process out, and you're not eating a very bioavailable form of your diet, or a good diet, I should say. So there's vegan keto it's been around for a little while now. I mean, this is not just the first time it's been brought up. There's groups out there that actually teach it. I'm not hip to the click on it because they do get a little higher carb ratio. The protein levels are different, fat levels are a little bit different, but it seems to be sustainable for some of the people that are doing it. So what do you call the folks who grew up eating the flesh of sentient animals, not brainwashed? Do you think they came to this diet independently? Vegans broke the social conditioning. So I'm ready to answer that. What I call those people is that, as I've already answered, and I've already specified the answer to that, so I'm going to bring it up again. It's not you or any other vegan's individual right to inflict your ideology or beliefs on a child. If it's an adult that is of sound mind, has experienced something in life, and can make those decisions for themselves, then do so. Would you like it if I was completely gay and I came to your child at 7 years old and said, you need to be gay too, just like me, and this is why? You would not. So what if a vegan came to your child at 7 years old and said, you need to quit eating animals and stuff, and completely screwed up your whole home structure, where you have raised that child? It was your child, your blood, You birthed that child. It's your responsibility to take that into your own action. And even at that, I said it's still not considerably right. In the child should still be able to make their own decision. But raised in that household with that family, and it's been their sole responsibility to educate that child. Is if that child is thriving, if that child is of sound mind, if that child is not showing any sign of malnourishment, have at it. Have at it. But as many times as we've seen lately, where vegans are raising their children in an uneducated way, and their children look very sick, some of them dying. The UK, the young couple that got convicted for their child dying because they did not put their child on a vegan diet correctly, and the child passed away. The 13-year-old boy that ran away from his home because his parents were predominantly feeding him a vegan diet and he was not happy at home, and ran away and told authorities what was going on. And they wrote an article up about that. These are not just made up stories. These stories happen. So if the child is conditioned from birth and raised a specific way, I would say that that's probably more appropriate, having a sustainable balanced diet from birth, and making it more of a clean form, regardless if it's vegetables or meat, or having just a little bit of everything that's bioavailable to the body. Fatty acids and amino acids are much higher and more bioavailable in animal products. They are not in vegetables at all whatsoever, zero form. You cannot justify that. It's already been scientifically proven. Everything in your body is built up of fatty acids and amino acids. The chemicals, the signaling, the cells, how they communicate back and forth, the different types of growth factors, hormones, and all this other stuff comes from different types of lipid and protein. That's how your body's built. Regardless if it's getting it from animals or plants, that's how it's built. So why would you not want to have the most bioavailable form? So it only makes more sense to have a child develop and grow on something that's more bioavailable and nutrient dense from birth than to hold that back from them and not let them sustain and grow and become the best version of themselves if you're not educated. And 99.9% of these vegan parents that are doing this are not educated. They do not know the plan, and they're harming their children by doing that. So that's why. Here. Richard, I'm slightly suspicious of your claim. You have been suspicious of my claim since you've been following my channel. This is the second time that you've been on my channel and you've questioned what I've said. I'm already drawing up the conclusion that no matter what I say, that's typically going to be your natural reaction to what most people say that you don't know. So I won't even try to dig into that, because this is a pattern that I've seen with you so far. You're not a very trusting person, and you're a very weary, questioning person, which is a normal thing for some people. Which I'm not gonna degrade that. But if I tell you a chicken dip snuff, you better check under his wing for the can, because it's there. Secondly, your one data point, you don't change the fact that vegans are amongst the healthiest people in the world. Actually, this has been debunked by so many different doctors and other people that are much more versed and knowledgeable in this. You're talking about the Seventh-day Adventists, where it has skewed data points, survey type studies, etc., etc. I mean, there's so many flaws that we can look at and find in this whole entire situation that you're talking about. We've already broke this apart. There's so many other people that have talked about this and that have broke down these data points that it makes it look as completely ridiculous. Yeah, so if you want to believe the agenda of the Ansel Keys type people, the diet heart hypothesis, the fat from animal flesh and stuff like that is what causes arteriosclerosis. The 22 country study, when after the 22 country study was supposed to be presented, only 7 countries were there. And of those 7 countries, there was like 4 or 5 of them that were just partially causal. And then the other 3 that were presented, there was things like smoking, activity, lifestyle. None of that was even taken into consideration. It was the biggest flaw ever. So for you to say that you think vegans are amongst the most healthiest people in the world, I would say that is an opinion. You um, you state it as it's fact, and that's not fact. That's an opinion, and I'm okay with that. Oh, here we go. Here's the name calling. And I'm a hippie. I'm the furthest thing from a hippie. Oh my God. We're going to have another one on our hands here. We're going to have another troll. I'm going to have to block another person. I'm trying to let as many vegan, sensible, nice people show up on the channel and just kind of be part of it and stuff like that and talk and disagree because that's healthy. But when they get to the point where they want to start poking and prodding and calling names, I got no time for that bullshit. They can go take that somebody else. They can take it to another channel. Not here. I don't put up with that shit. So I'm just letting you know right now. Yeah, if you're happy with what you do, you be happy with what you do. If you want to hang around and learn some stuff or whatever, and you want to have, talk and converse, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to block your comments. Obviously, I'm putting them on the screen. I could have blocked you a long time ago. I'm not going to fight with you and stuff like that. But what I will not tolerate is disrespect. You will respect me and this channel and the people that are on this channel. And if you cannot do that, you'll be removed from this channel. And again, stating stuff with no facts at all. As I've said, plants don't have central nervous systems, but they do have chemical reactions to things that go on that act as central nervous type systems. I've been to the schooling. I've had education on this, probably more than most of you have, because obviously you have not. It speaks already of the few comments that you've made that you are not versed or educated in this at all. Let's see here. Your food is sentient and has a will to live. Okay, and I have a will to live too. And if I have to eat something else that's sentient that needs to live, I'm going to eat it. That's just how it is. Did you think that TKM meant that I was some kind of vegan or something like that? Yeah, you've been on this channel for a little bit now, at least a couple days. You can kind of get the gist of my content and what I do. And you're just now wanting to stir some things up during the middle of a live stream. What does that do for you? What have you accomplished by doing this? This is veganism, guys. This is it. It's a shit show for show, an ideology-based, driven agenda when it's just a complete shit show. This is what we're seeing. Let's see here. Every person who eats meat had that choice forced upon them at an age when they were incapable of weighing the moral implications of what they were taking part in. That's immoral. That's your opinion. That is completely your opinion. It's not fact. It's not anything. If that's how a child was raised on a balanced diet where they're eating many things, my daughter's best friend is vegan, and it makes me sad when I see her. Her hair is thinning, her skin is pale, she has no muscle mass, only 13 years old. It's just sad. And Rich says 13 is a little too young. I would be concerned as to her health, developing woman also. Well, look what happened with Will Smith recently. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, their son was vegan. And Will said on their little talk table hour or whatever, Will said, I'm concerned. I'm concerned with what you're doing. I'm concerned that you went from looking super healthy to now you look like you're just kind of dwindling away. And what was he, like 16, 17 years old or something like that? And you don't look healthy. And me and your mom don't want you to continue doing what you're doing because even though it's your choice and you can do what you want, we don't want you to continue doing it because you look very, very unhealthy on this vegan diet. And he had to change what he was doing because of how sickly he was getting. I don't know if it's the fact that he was not following it correctly, like the vegans will say, or the fact that maybe he just wasn't eating enough calories, like they say. That's their excuse every single time. That maybe that's what he fed his parents as well. So maybe he has to stuff some more cauliflower up his ass and do enemas like the vegans do and everything else, and drink their own piss and do their piss eyewash stuff like the rest of them do. It's maybe that's what's going to fix his nutritional deficiencies and make himself start looking better. So this channel should be a caring place for like-minded people, in my view. Just my opinion, Rich. Like the lack of this trolling in this channel normally. I want people of all beliefs, regardless of all nationalities, races, whatever it is, religions, vegan, whatever they want to be able to talk here. But the one thing that I don't tolerate is I won't tolerate somebody coming here like Joe Blow, you nasty this and that and everything else, and like Bob here, with the name calling and stuff and trying to be so stern on forcing what he has to say on other people. I'm the host of this channel. There's one thing, and I have many moderators that are here, that they even let these things slip because they're very sensible people, and they're like, let's let people talk. Even if it doesn't sound that great, it's still their voice. It's their right to do that. But what you don't do is you don't tolerate disrespect. And in the vegan community, there's a ton of disrespect. Because if you don't do what they want you to do, that's the first thing that they result to is, fuck you, you this, you that, you animal, you sinner, you animal eater, that's disgusting, you're doing all this. That's immediately what they result to. Immediately. Almost every single time. And it's disgusting. Somebody tells me what I'm doing is wrong or something like that. I said, okay, whatever. You don't have to do it. I'm still going to continue to do what I know I should be doing or that I want to do because it's my right to do that. And I move on. But vegans can't do that. Just like Joe Blow. He left me the nasty comment about how I'm disgusting and everything else for doing. And then he went to another video, left another comment there. Then he had to troll to my page. And then he had to jump on 3 or 4 of my different videos and leave comments on all that. That's veganism. That's the mentality aspect of these people that are completely gone, and then that's what they result to. Me, I'm like, okay, this guy's a freaking douche or whatever, and I move on. I don't go troll his page and find every video that he's commented on and try to do all this stuff. I don't go in the middle of his live feed and try to bash him and do all this other stuff. I have some respect for people when it comes to that. Even when Ryan was being a complete ass about not doing the vegan keto or something, I didn't go on there and bash him about that. I simply exited out and I moved on about my business. I use it as a talking point from time to time, and that's as simply that. I could have went right there and just tore his ass up in front of his whole audience that was watching, but I decided that's not the right thing to do. Move on. Vegans can't do that. The world's largest organization of food and nutrition professionals has stated unequivocally that a vegan diet is suitable for all stages of life. You really think that? So, okay, you really think that. Let's, vegan diet is suitable for all stages of life. Okay, let's show you this.
So they said, you have 7 days to get.
Okay, you think it's suitable for all stages of life. And you think because this big, large population of these professional people say it so, you believe it. That's what, when sheep are let out to walk and they have a leader, they follow the leader just because they're following the leader. That's what they're used to. Sheep don't have a mind of their own. And sometimes when I see the vegan comments, it really leads me to believe that they follow like sheep. So let's do this. Well, look at that little boy right there. Look at Aga's baby, the one on the vegan diet. Look how developed that fat, chunky belly is, and the chunky cheeks. But look how thin those arms are. Look how the little legs right here don't even match the rest of the body. The development is not going on. This baby has the belly of a third world country kid that has been starving, and it has got worms and parasites and everything else building up that's been living off nothing but rice and water. So that's healthy, huh?
Get Trinity to get a checkup, or else you are going to do an up.
So that's healthy, huh? How is... Wait a second here. Wait a second here. Look at the ribs, the shoulders on this girl, the bones that are poking through her skin, her pelvic, her whole torso is shoving through. For God's sake, she doesn't even have any body fat on her body. Her lady hump right here is pushing through her pelvic, is pushing so much on her, what would you call it, labia or whatever, that it's literally shoving through her underwear. How is any of this? Look at this bony. No, she looks like a skeleton covered with a skin sheet. This is supposed to be a really good, informative vegan.
Date on the best vegan mother of the year, Aga in America. In case you forgot,
look at that child. This is not even a developing child. This child, over the time frame of it growing, its legs have been the same size, and the belly has been becoming more and more distended. The head has been becoming more and more just weird developing going on. And this is a vegan mother that's supposed to be well thought of in the vegan community.
This was taken last month, this photo of Owen. Owen is 14 months old here. And yes, his legs look very underdeveloped. His legs remind me of tadpole legs. You know when a tadpole is going through those stages where he still has the tail, but he has these tiny little legs that the tadpole cannot use? This is what Owen's legs remind me of. And when Aga is holding him, his little tadpole legs just dangle there. He clearly looks malnourished.
The baby's
right?
Not growing.
So what also struck me about this picture is, my God, he's barely bigger than a freaking shoe. Okay, this is his father's shoe. He's barely bigger than his shoe. Does this kid look 14 months old in this picture? He looks like an 8-month-old crawling around a 9-month-old. So update on Aga on her social media and what we can see from her social media. Of course, we have to speculate here, but let's put the pieces together. Since I made my video, Aga in America, the best vegan mother of the year, link will be in the description. Since I made that video, many of you have, just read the comments. 50% of the comments is people saying to call authorities on her because of
this is child abuse.
Spine picture of her son Owen. And this is, his legs are underdeveloped. We can all see this. So this is the type of picture she's posting lately. And she started off like this. She started off with like the point. Why am I talking about how her children's faces are being covered and she's taking pictures from behind and stuff like that? Well, my idea, my opinion on why this is happening and why she's doing this is because she got reported. Okay, CPS visited.
So in case you didn't know, this is so serious with this vegan mother and her kids that this sustainable vegan diet that you're talking about that's so great for all stages of life. That's what you said. And obviously just being vegan is good enough, right? You don't have to know anything about it to do it. And there's no emphasis put on that. You just need to be on a vegan diet. Well, this is a vegan diet, and these children look like they're dying. Literally, they're so bad, and she's become such a big social media star, and all the vegans love her, that there's so many red flags in her life in general, that she was reported to Child Protective Services because these children look like they are dying. Look at this little boy.
This is her son, baby Owen. I don't know. I guess he's about a year and a month here, about a year old maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter how old he is. He shouldn't be this skinny. Like thighs on a baby shouldn't be that.
This is disgusting. This is an underdeveloped child based on how this child's being fed.
Does not post a report. We know that it was a bad report. The doctor gave her a bad review of the child and probably put her on a very strict protocol to feed this child. Will she show us the protocol? Will she show us the new way, the medical report? If Aga's case is closed, say, and CPS is satisfied that, oh, she took the child to a doctor, now they're going to assume that the child is going to be getting medical care. So they close the case. Okay, what is the report from the doctor? We would love to see this. If she does not post a report, we know that it was a bad report. The doctor gave her a bad review of the child and probably put her on a very strict protocol to feed this child. Will she show us the protocol? Will she show us the new way of eating that
Aga in America is a Polish YouTuber known for her raw vegan fruitarian diet that has garnished quite truly.
This is the picture that made people contact Child Protective Services. Look at this baby. The spine, the ribs, the bloated, distending belly, everything. This is what made her get in trouble. See how they look normal from like the pictures and stuff, the images, the lighting and stuff that they put up. They try to make themselves look healthy. There's a big difference here. Look at him. He looks like he's dying. This is a vegan. She's all doctored up. They look completely different looking guy. Look here. When it's all doctored up, the lighting and everything's right, they're all covered up. Looks like death. This is a vegan diet.
Your amazing body takes, as you're chewing the food, which you have to do for this to happen. So if you blend it, juice it, when you take a bite of an apple.
I really figured out. And that was it. I said, well, that guy sounds pretty confident in him. I'm going to go check it out. So I went and checked out Lauren Lockman.
Discovering Lauren Lockman, another vegan whack job.
Let's say you take a bite of an apple. Your amazing body takes, as you're chewing the food, which you have to do for this to happen. So if you blend it, juice it, whatever, you tend to swallow it without chewing it up. This doesn't work so well. But as you're chewing the food, your body's actually taking a measure of what's there on your tongue and preparing the perfect environment to digest that food in the stomach.
There's no regimen or a special diet plan that you're supposed to do. It's free of any interference from somebody who thinks they're smarter than nature.
So you shouldn't think you're smarter than nature, but you go against nature in following a vegan diet. They literally look like two skeletons eating at the table.
Let Frankie Boy say it. I'm not a big, huge Frankie Boy fan, but here he's right. Just so you know, Lauren Lockman has had patients under his care die. Actually die. Documented cases. And I actually messaged him and I asked him about this. What happened to the diabetic that you put on a vegan diet that died? I wonder if I could pull up the message back and forth between. I called him straight out on his shit directly. Oh, he did not like it at all. He did not like it at all. Let's see here. How do you spell his name? L-O-R. I probably didn't misspell his name right.
Preparing the perfect environment to digest.
Lauren Lockman, L-O-R-E-N. Okay, so I want to be able to blow this up, but I don't know how to do it. So here it is. This is when I first messaged this guy. This is supposed to be a real big vegan public figure doctor, and he's not even a doctor. People allow him to continue to lie to say he's a doctor, and he's not. I said, so there's a vegan YouTuber, I should say, fruitarian YouTuber. His name is Raw Bliss. He's been traveling on a fruitarian diet, but he looks like his body is literally cannibalizing itself to the point where bones are poking into his skin and things of this nature. I am not a vegan and I'm not a fruitarian. I let him know that up front so he knew where I stood. My question to you is, at what point should you quit being a vegan or a fruitarian? This guy looks like he's dying. My second question was also, why on a vegan diet for a fruitarian diet is the answer to people's problems? You're not eating enough calories. It seems like people almost have to force themselves to indulge in so many calories from fruits and vegetables to sustain healthy eating. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. Sometimes I get a little speech impediment very lightly. In my opinion, you should not have to force yourself to eat mass amounts of calories that your body doesn't want to sustain a diet that you're on, no matter what the diet is. I just looked at this recent video, and he is indeed emaciated. This is coming from this vegan doctor, and looks like he's about to die. Holy hell. You mean to tell me that I'm just as educated as a doctor is? This doctor just admitted that I was correct. Okay, so there's the first step. He's obviously quite sick and likely quite deluded. But we are frugivores, just like the anthropod primates, whom share roughly 99% of our DNA and nearly identical digestive tract. And while it certainly looks like this guy needs more calories, it's more likely that he's simply not digesting and absorbing as assimilating well, which means that no matter what he eats, he'll have issues. And you're right, one should not need to force feed to be okay. I eat a fraction of what I used to and stay fit and strong, and have literally thousands of clients who become healthier than ever on a fruitarian diet. What makes no sense is to blame the diet on one's health when many of us are perfectly healthy, eating the same way. See? What did he just say? Don't blame the diet, because many of us are healthy eating the same way. So how could you blame me for eating the way that I eat and I'm healthy? You can't blame me. This doctor just said that. So we move on. So I spent 15 months in Iraq, and in 2008, it didn't really rain that much there. I mean, it didn't at all, almost the entire year. I was standing outside during the first rain in 2008, and I caught a condition called amoebic dysentery. This bacterial infection wrecked me, and it almost killed me. They were giving me shots every day, monitoring me, escorting me to the shower because I couldn't stand up on my own, and I needed help. It really messed me up, or it really messed up my digestive tract. He says, yes, it can do that. Fasting would almost certainly allow your body to heal itself, which I do lots of fasting, and I do feel my best when I do fast. So that I agree with. I started gaining weight when I never had gained weight like that before. I turned to more of a vegetarian diet. I kept ending up with blood in my stool, and I would throw up sometimes, and there would be blood in my throw up. I started the keto diet, and then all of a sudden I started losing weight again, but I still ended up in the hospital with blood in my stool. One time light red, and the second time dark red. And I would cramp up and crawl into a ball on the floor and in tears for hours before I could get myself up and go to the hospital. So about 2 years ago, I started the carnivore diet. I never felt so much release in my life. Relief, I meant to say. LDL 89, HDL 62, triglycerides 54, CAC score 0, CRP less than 1, A1C 5.0. It's the only diet that I've ever been on that has allowed me freedom to not have to worry about being sick. When I eat fibrous fruits and vegetables, immediately feel bloated and within days in pain. Put on the carnivore diet, I feel like I can live my life and I don't have any issues, and I keep getting healthier and healthier. Oh, I've lost a whole 150 pounds, and I've been at this for about 5 years. The majority of it was carnivore. People say on the carnivore diet, you don't go to the bathroom as much because you're constipated, and that's completely a misconception. It's just because your body is able to break down and use what you're eating more than fibrous material that has a lot of byproduct that gets wasted, and you eat substantially less. He says, I'm super busy and only have a moment now, but I scanned your message, and the last part is simply not true. Carnivores eliminate within 2 hours of eating because consuming a high protein diet means many toxic byproducts. Humans eating this absurd diet do not eliminate much because we cannot move material through the tract unless it contains high water and high fiber. Eating a diet high in animal products guarantees one will eventually have bowel issues, dementia, cancer, and heart disease. You are suppressing symptoms which are evidence that the body is cleansing and healing. Suppressing them is no way beneficial. That's all you're doing. But you're reciting standard medical stuff. You're not reciting anything that's actually been proven 100% factual, and it's the same thing over and over again. There's a study that says there is a study that says that, but nothing is 100% proven. Just like you're busy, it's good to have these types of conversations, and I'm becoming more of a key figure in a low-carb community. Many people rely on me, and I want to have this conversation. So if you do get time, I would love to address this. I find that a lot of the information put out by the fruitarian and vegan doctors is just a repetitive talking point that they all use the same thing, and there's nothing that you can show me. There's nothing that you can show me that says this has 100% beneficially actually proven. It's just an opinion based on some medical study that's it really, and that's the God's to honest truth. Just like the foods that you promote have tons of oxalates, phytates, phytoestrogens, salicylates. These are types of things that people should be aware of. Sorry, this is absurd nonsense, and I don't have time for it. I've helped hundreds of people recover from eating the idiotic diet of yours, and all the clients achieve. What did I tell you about vegans? They immediately have to go to the hostility and start the name calling and everything else. It's standard across the freaking board. It's standard. I call it like I see it. If a spade is a spade, I call it a spade, and here we are. It's a spade. Again, hostility immediately right to it, already with the types of name calling. It's the same every fucking time. I've helped hundreds of people recover from eating this idiotic diet of yours, and all of my clients achieve the highest level of health ever. Best of luck. I don't have time for such nonsense. I continue talking because I want to have this conversation. I'm not going to let this coward bow out of this conversation because he's too damn busy. He's not too damn busy. He's using that as an excuse because he knows I'm going to get his goat here. I've helped thousands of people recover from different types of conditions that you would push a vegan diet or fruitarian diet for. I'm not even a doctor. I run 6 different social media groups where I make recommendations and let people follow me based on my journey. They have reversed insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, different types of autoimmune conditions, and these people are just the average. And these people are just watching some average Joe learn a little bit, dig in and study, which I don't know why in the hell I wrote that, because it was like jumbled up what I meant to say. And these people are just average people watching the average Joe just learn a little bit, just dig in and study some stuff. Why do you think there are so many people that are leaving a vegan fruitarian diet? How about the babies that are dying because mothers are putting them on vegan diets before they're even just a couple years old? What happened to the diabetic lady that they are blaming you for passing away, but you're blaming her overdosing on insulin? You're not too busy to have a conversation. You're just too scared to have a conversation. I'm calling him out on his shit immediately. Nearly identical digestive tract. Well, the human large intestine has a very small cecum, and we don't produce cellulose to break down the cellulose, meaning we get nothing from it except fiber. We also have a liver, gallbladder, and enzymes made specifically for digesting fats and proteins. He would probably ignore that info, though. If he isn't eating enough nuts or legumes, grains, and pears, his body will eat his muscles for protein, which is probably why he looks so like a holocaustic survivor. And then I post this picture here of primates eating meat, killing other primates for the meat, when they're given the choice between eating flesh, blood, nutrients, protein, fat, and their fruits. They choose flesh first. It's immediate, high calories, very sustainable for them, and they will hunt in packs. What will happen is one primate will run something up a tree, corner it. The other primates will try to ambush from the opposite direction or follow, and they come together as a team and they kill what they're after. Primates do not just eat fruits and vegetables. That's a complete misconception. When given the choice in the wild between killing something and eating its flesh, or eating fruits and vegetable sugars and stuff like that, they will eat the flesh. This has been proven. And nearly identical digestive tract. Wrong. Gorillas have a large intestine that's 76% of their digestive tract in length. Chimps have one that's 53% of their digestive tract in length. Those functions as fermenting vats for bacteria process the plant fiber into saturated fat, butyric acid, which with gorillas, what goes in their mouth might be 75% carb, 20% protein, 5% fat. What actually ends up in the blood after digesting is 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbs. So your vegan gorilla friends are actually low carb, high fat, despite a plant-based diet. That's how their digestive tract functions. That's what it will use to recreate a type of fuel that is more sustainable for them. So our vegan gorilla friends are actually low carb, high fat, despite a plant-based diet. Chimps, on the other hand, eat meat whenever they can, whenever they get their hands on it. Have even hunted certain monkeys to near extinction, and their digestive tract is far more suited for eating plants than ours. Our large intestine is only 16% of our digestive tract in length. This is an omnivore trait. Our capability to ferment our food into saturated fat is very limited, and so we must depend on eating the necessary nutrients and macro ratios directly from our food, which meat just happens to provide that. I'm too busy to read your nonsense, and I'm not interested in having this conversation with you, as you are immune to logic. Science is clear that a vegan diet is health promoting and vegan diet is health promoting and a diet of animal products promotes disease. Believe whatever you like, but stop littering my inboxes. I am not interested in discussing this with you further. I work 18 hours a day helping people, and communicating with people who refuse to think is a waste of my time. I wish you the best and hope you feel and function as well as possible. And I told him, you need to have this conversation with me. I want to know what's going on in the world. And if you're harming people based on what your junk says, I want to converse with you about why you would do that. I can go to social media and say, look, this fake fruitarian doctor decided he didn't want to have a conversation with me because he's too busy, but I'm reading information that's put out all over social media saying that he has put people in harm's way. Why not just have the conversation? I don't really care what you want or what you do. I'm not interested in what you think or even if you do. I am asking you politely to leave me alone because I don't have time to respond to all of the people asking for help. I'm certainly not going to waste any more time with someone who simply wants to push his idiotic agenda. You're destroying yourself and the planet and forcing millions of animals to live miserable lives and then die so you can pollute yourself. Do whatever you want, but please don't write me again. You are working with the public and I'm asking questions about the public. So there's no way you can force me to stop asking you questions. I'm not harassing you. I'm simply asking you questions. So you can call it whatever you want, but there's not shit you can do about it. Somebody asking you questions, again, you're just resorting back to the same vegan bullshit agenda that you've always fucking pushed, and it does nothing for nobody. It's the same storybook answer over and over again from fucking idiots like you. Debate me, fool. I'm calling him directly out on his shit, saying, if you want to do this, I have more knowledge, I have more information on this than you, and I feel like in a debate, I will wreck you. Do this. And he won't do it. Fucking pussy. I can ask them to fuck off. So do you? If you want more of my time, it's $200 an hour. I won't respond to you again. You appear to be mentally retarded. Fuck off. I will not respond again and don't have time for you assholes. And don't have time for assholes. So when I get in his shit, when I literally get in his shit and I make him, I want to not make him, I want him to prove his vegan bullshit against somebody that is knowledgeable, that can drop the facts, that already has his number cornered. Every fucking time he turns around, he won't do it. I try to play the hostility card here to try to get something out of him to see if he'll do it. He won't do it. He knows he will lose his fucking ass against me. I don't even have to study this stuff. It's there. I can pull it up. I can go around. I can bounce around. If he wants to take the time to debate back and forth, he's a medical professional. So here I am, some Joe Schmo that doesn't know shit about anything, challenging him, and he won't even come forward publicly on my YouTube and get wrecked. I told him, come on my YouTube. Let's debate this publicly, and I will fucking wreck you. I don't appear to be as retarded as some of these fucking vegans that you work with, especially the lady that ended up in the hospital and dying. If you have supplement to sustain a diet that's not a natural diet and it doesn't help the earth more, some more fucking vegan Greta Thunberg propaganda bullshit you like to blow up people's ass all lies. Wow, I must have been heated when I got to this point. So I read the article about the woman dying. You're not a real doctor. I don't understand how you can practice if you're not even a real doctor. And you don't get in trouble for it. Learn from this guy. I love this doctor. UK News, vegan and veggie meals more likely to give you heart attack than meat burgers. My analysis published in Britain's most read newspaper, The Sun. This is an actual doctor. This is pretty level-headed overall. That openly admits that veggie meals are more destructive on your health than any kind of meat-based burger. And if you don't know Malhotra, you need to go find him. Asim Malhotra. This guy's like above knowledgeable when it comes to most of the keto, paleo, carnivore type. This dude is a brainiac. You can see I tried to do everything that I could here to bring good content to you guys, to debate a vegan doctor that does this with hundreds of people. And even though I've been doing this a lot longer than him, and I've done this with thousands of people, it's just, what a joke. What a freaking joke, man. I know it comes across as I'm a bully or whatever. I haven't even looked at the comments yet. But I wanted to push this guy. I wanted to see what I could get out of him. I wanted to either give something to the vegan community or give something to the keto carnivore community by good quality content. You get on stream with me. Let's hash this shit out. Let's do something. It doesn't matter if it goes violent. It doesn't matter what it is. And we stay to the end until both of us decide that it's done. Let's get on here. Let's get this over with. Royal Rumble. Death to the end, whatever, until one of us say, okay, we've had enough. Let's just get off here. It's not going anywhere. Whatever it may be. Let's do it. God, you're a fucking coward. You wouldn't do anything. He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He knows how to tell people to chew on vegetables and stuff and let the enzymes in his mouth pick up what kind of electronically kind of calculation goes on to tell the body that you need to secrete this type of enzyme and that type of enzyme. It doesn't happen that way. It's all bullshit that he was saying. It's complete bullshit. It does not happen that way. You assimilate food by thinking about what you're eating. Okay, I'm going to eat this piece of chicken right here. I don't need to prepare for anything super sweet, so I'm going to get a little bit of a dopamine release that triggers an insulin secretion based on a enzymatic response in the stomach. That is what triggers these different types of chemicals from being secreted. There's no enzyme and all this other stuff and this electronic calculation that happens in the mouth based on what the chewing concept. No, it's either, are you eating sugar, are you eating protein, or are you eating fat? And how much insulin, or do we need to start preparing to secrete? How much do we need to start working on creating digestive enzymes and having stomach acid being created to help with the digestion process? How much do we think we have to pump out from the gallbladder into the digestive tract to help break down fats and stuff? There's none of this bullshit this guy's talking about with all this calculation that happens inside the mouth while you're chewing and stuff. It's another bullshit vegan doctor that thinks he knows what he's talking about. Let's go back here. I'm going to try to go back and catch up. Okay, here we are. Where do we leave off? Please understand, of course, vegans are emotional, invested in the issue. There's a literal Holocaust going on. It takes a ton of emotional energy to stay calm in the face of that. And I get that. And that's why I said I understand why some vegans get like they do. But to consistently do it all the time, when you're letting somebody come on their open platform and say whatever you want to say, as long as you're not disrespectful, that's all most people ask. You can say whatever you want. You can tell if we're wrong, we're not factual. You can post all the information that you want. But as soon as it becomes disrespectful at that point, like I'll never do that with you individually. But if I'm talking about some Yahoo that I've had dealings with online, that's where I would be disrespectful. But you directly that's taking the time to have conversion back and forth with me via words, I'm never going to be disrespectful as long as you're not. But I just don't like the disrespect stuff. I really don't. And I agree with you. I know they're emotionally invested. I know how they feel, the way that I get it. I understand that. The vegan diet is the NWO diet for slaves. That's what it is. The swollen gut is a starving child. When you look at Aga's child and how swollen the gut is and how small the rest of the body is, that's the same pictures that you see from children in the Holocaust, children in these third world countries that don't have enough food and they're malnourished. That's the same image. This is sad. Every diet has to be adequately planned. One child dying from a poorly planned diet and deficient vegan diet doesn't debunk the conclusion of hundreds of health professionals learned to science. Here we go again. Oh my God. I don't have to plan my diet. I eat red meat and eggs until full. Done. Once a day, just like my bathroom, toilet, regular. Thank you, Rich. That's the perfect way to put it. I don't have to plan anything. I don't have to make sure that I'm getting the right nutrients. I know it has it. I know it's there, and I never end up deficient. When you have, just like I told this Yahoo Dr. Lockman or whatever the hell his name is, if you have to plan your diet to that extent, you are not eating a diet. You're not eating an appropriate diet. And if you're on a vegan diet, you got to sit there and you got to break down your macros, and you got to sit there and figure out exactly how much of this, how much of this, how much. You are not eating a species appropriate diet. That is it. End of the day, you should not have to do all that. You shouldn't have to worry about supplementing and taking pills. Even the biggest, most knowledgeable vegan YouTubers admit that supplementation in some forms is needed. That is not a natural diet. I don't care who you are. Well, my grandfather, he lived until what, he's 85, 86 years old, smoking cigars every single day, every day. And he died of natural causes. He never had cancer. I do believe that depending on your lifestyle and how you live, that smoking, can cause cancer. And I agree with that data point. But I also agree that depending on the lifestyle that you live, he was a very strong, active man. He was always out moving. He was always out doing stuff. He was always drinking water and trying to eat as healthy as he could. He would eat sugars and breads and stuff like that, obviously, and live like more of a southern type lifestyle with peach cobblers and things that weren't necessarily desirable. But he was a very active person. He was always out laying brick, building homes, construction type stuff. And he was super fit and super strong and healthy. I mean, all the way up until he was 85, 86 years old. I mean, he had just big, giant, strong hands. And he was a very big, aggressive, like sporty type man. And that's how he lived. He was very healthy. So I think it depends on the lifestyle and genetic makeup and kind of what you're predisposition to based on your family health history that will depict a lot of that for somebody. This is how my grandfather was too at 85, 86 years old, 86 years old, 85 years old, something like that, whatever. He did not eat any type of, he ate olive oils, real butters, real meat, homemade breads, homemade sweets and stuff like that. He did not eat a lot of store-bought stuff at all. It was mostly all made at home. And I think that has a lot to do with why he was so healthy. Like I said, lifestyle, the way people live their lifestyles. You misunderstood. Of course, vegan diets have to be adequately planned. Do you think I believe people can be healthy eating lettuce for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Absolutely not, because if you're eating iceberg lettuce, there's no nutrient density in it. It's just all moisture. If you're eating stuff like romaine and things like that, you're going to get some nutrients, but how much of it can you use when there's adequate amounts of anti-nutrients as well? I mean, how do you explain that when they scientifically say that can be an issue for people also? So although you're promoting a vegan diet, what do you say about the science that speaks against the anti-nutrients that are in the foods? That is science, that people do say it is proven. Vaccine deniers, conspiracy theory, trashing veganism. I think this is a lot. Oh, really? You think that says a lot? You want to go to another post that we can show? We can drop some facts on some vaccines real quick. Should we do it while we're here so we can make old baby Blue there happy? Let's see. Let's see. Vaccine deniers. I'm a vaccine denier, but I guess I'm the stupidest person you've ever seen do stuff online, right? Don't answer that question. Oh, let's see. Where are we going to go with this? Let's read what John F. Kennedy Jr. said about vaccines. And your boy here. Let's see. Screen share. Chrome tab. Let's see here. This is a doctor right here, very, very knowledgeable. Rashid A. Battar. AskBattar.com. Very, very knowledgeable doctor that talks everything about, what does my post here say? The RT-PCR inventor. This is the test that they use. Inventor Kerry Mullis said it shouldn't be used for diagnosis. That type of testing should not be used for diagnosis. And what is the government doing right now that the inventor of this test said not to do, to test for stuff like viruses, using it? And he was the original inventor of how they test for this stuff. And he said this should not be used for diagnosing these conditions. It is not accurate. And all these years later, they're doing exactly what he said not to do. Let's see. Look at that. Isn't that yummy? That's bioavailable right there, babe. Here's the vaccine patent established for the coronavirus, November 2019. Now, regardless if this has anything to do with the new coronavirus, look at when they applied for it and when it was approved. It took years. So this is not going to be a 1 to 1.5 year turnaround like they said it takes. I suck at punctuation. I really do. I just get it and go. They said it takes much longer than that to get a vaccine approved and tested. August 23rd, 2016 was the applied date. Vaccine patent granted date, November 9th. That's more than 3 years, 3 years, 4 months it took roughly to get this coronavirus vaccine approved. And this is a direct copy of the European patent specification with the numbers for the coronavirus. So I guess us conspiracy theorists, as you say, we don't really have a leg to stand on, right? When this is actual European Patent Office code date information, that it's all facts. I mean, it's not even something that you can make up. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. Where do we want to go? I bet you I passed it up. I think I passed it up. Am I online? Where the hell is it at? I wonder if Facebook removed it. I bet you they fucking removed it. Assholes. There's the vaccine patent, and then right before that was a post John F. Kennedy. I wonder if Facebook removed it because they did it twice. I had to keep republishing it. Yep, it's removed. That's pretty sad that they do shit like that, and it makes no sense at all. Let's go back to Google. Oops. Come on. Is this the one? Oh, it's Robert F. Kennedy, not John F. Kennedy Jr. Robert F. Kennedy. So let's go to his page. Conclusion: the SARS-CoV vaccines are all induced antibody and protection against the infection of SARS-CoV. However, the challenge mice given any vaccines led to the concurrence of the Th2 type immunopathology. Yeah, the immunopathology suggesting that hypersensitivity to SARS-CoV component-induced caution in proceeding to application of SARS-CoV vaccine in humans is indicated. Let's continue.
So you're a tough guy, like a really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always a tough guy. On the bad side, make him on the sad side, make a girl from my type, makes it just your that type. I'm the bad guy. Duh.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines. With certain types of respiratory virus vaccines, you get immunized, and then when you get actually exposed to the virus, you get this kind of paradoxical immune enhancement phenomenon. We started developing coronavirus vaccines, and our colleagues, we noticed in laboratory animals that they started to show some of the same immune pathologies. And we said, oh my God, this is going to be problematic.
Duh.
We don't really have any history of making a coronavirus vaccine, so how are we going to make it? Is it going to be an mRNA vaccine? Is it going to be a DNA vaccine? Is it going to be a purified protein vaccine? Is it going to be a vectored vaccine? Nobody knows. And certainly the FDA has got to regulate this product, because right now everybody in the United States will probably take it in a second, even if it wasn't tested.
So you're a tough guy, like a really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always a tough guy.
So you have the neutralizing antibodies and you have the binding antibodies. You want to make sure that the quantity of neutralizing antibodies that you have and the persistence of those antibodies is much greater than the binding antibodies, because the binding antibodies can be dangerous and cause something called antibody-dependent enhancement. And we've seen that. I mean, we saw that with the dengue vaccine. But the dengue vaccine in children who've never been exposed to dengue before actually made them worse when they were then exposed to the natural virus. Much worse. Vaccinated children who were less than 9 years of age, who had never been exposed to dengue before, were more likely to die if they'd been vaccinated than if they hadn't been vaccinated.
I like it when you take control, if you know that you don't own me. I let you play the role I gave you anymore. My mommy likes to sing along.
The issue
something that I want to make sure the American public understand. There's safety associated. Does the vaccine make you worse? And there are diseases in which you vaccinate someone, they get infected with what you're trying to protect them with, and you actually enhance the infection. You can get a good feel for that in animal models. So that's going to be interspersed at the same time that we're testing. We're going to try and make sure we don't have enhancement. It's the worst possible thing you could do is vaccinate somebody to prevent infection and actually make them worse.
I'm the bad guy. Duh.
Here, we clearly need a vaccine that works in the upper age range because they're most at risk of that. And doing that so that you amp it up so it works in older people and yet you don't have side effects.
So you're a tough guy, like a really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always a tough guy.
You know, if we have, 1 in 10,000 side effects, that's, way more, 700,000, people who will suffer from that.
I'm the bad guy. Duh.
Really understanding the safety at gigantic scale across all age ranges, pregnant, male, female, undernourished, existing comorbidities. It's very, very hard. And that actual decision of, okay, let's go and give this vaccine to the entire world, governments will have to be involved because there will be some risk and indemnification needed before that can be decided on.
I'm the bad guy. Duh.
You should see all the stuff that this dude is involved in, that hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have died in these other countries. In India, where he was kicked off the medical panel for forcing billions of dollars into their medical industry, making himself seem like he was some kind of utmost authority in vaccination and stuff like that. And then hundreds of young women becoming infertile based off the vaccination program and stuff that he put in place. And this is not just one country. This is so many different countries that vaccines have caused this. And 7 years ago, I quit taking the flu shot. And about 2 years ago, I took the flu shot and I was sick for 5 weeks. I didn't do that again, and I never got sick like that again. It's just one of the prime examples that even though you're supposed to be vaccinated for something to build up an immunity to it, there are specific people in general that do not respond well to vaccines, and it's something that I would not recommend anybody do. I'm not telling people not to do it. I don't recommend it. I don't think they're safe. I don't think our government has the best for us in mind. I think they have an agenda. They have to have Bill Gates around that has billions of dollars to mass produce these things that are going to turn around and make tons of money in the process. And when you have big billionaires like this, basically they're running the world, and you're oblivious to that, thinking that everybody in the government's out for your well-being and you should get vaccinated every time they suggest it. You might be one of the slowest people I've ever met in my life. I mean, and it's just me not trying to be mean. It's me being completely honest with you. Exactly these people I would be looking into. These are people that really, 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 they're, that's sad. That's super, super sad. You know, and there's some carnivores that use honey in their meals because of antioxidants and natural fructose, even though natural fructose can be inflammatory and problematic for people as well. The process by which bees make honey is very disturbing to some people. And if you look into it, if you haven't looked into it, I'm not going to spoil it for you now. If you do use it, you should look. And I think it's kind of cool how it's done, but to some people, it's very, very disturbing on how the honey is actually made. Just something different than what we've been talking about. And, you know, the plant-based burger patties in general, when you look at how they're made, the amount of time that it gets put into creating them, if you've tried them, which I have, you know, I'm not going to talk bad about something unless I try it, and I'll do it. And I put myself through that. I tested it in its form of, you know, the vegan Whopper, and it was absolutely delicious. But then when you take the patty off of the Whopper and you eat it individually, which I did, I ordered and I made sure I did a palate cleanse and all that stuff for an honest review. Oh my God, man. It's like you took dog food out of a can and you smashed it into a patty and then you fried it up. It's the most disgusting chemical tasting thing that it's disgusting. I agree with Rich here. You give her space and help her if she needs help or ask for help. That's 1,000% the best thing to do in any of these situations. Most people accept vegans on YouTube. They love to argue. I stay away from them. Arguing is meaningless, a waste of time. Yeah, most vegans in life in general are pretty chill people. Like, they don't really care what you do. It's the vegans on YouTube that make the persona and the projection of vegans being so dogmatic and stuff all the time bad for everybody else. And then when they draw people into their camp, it's almost like the Waco thing. It becomes a cult type family mentality that they all have to start doing it. That's unfortunate that she's like that. I mean, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. All you can do is continue living your life and, you know, being as supportive as you know you possibly can be. And as I was just saying, it's almost like they become part of some kind of like cult-like infrastructure, family or whatever. It's the emotional side behind things where people really start getting drawn into it, and it's that constant having to battle and feel like they need to be vegan soldiers when they really don't. They just need to focus on living their life however that needs to be. I don't go around telling everybody that I'm carnivore or I'm keto and this is how they should be doing things. I do my little YouTube channel, and if people come by, they come by. I do my little groups where people ask me for help. I don't even go asking people if they want help. I let them ask me, and I willingly help them. I mean, until 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Sometimes, you know, I'm up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning doing things with people. Sometimes just because they're in different time zones. But I just let them be. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing more than anything. People that are growing their own meat, their veggies, they're eating off of their own homestead. They seem to live very, very long. It doesn't really have anything to do with the vegan diet. It has more to do with how clean your diet is and how close you are connected with your diet. That people seem to live the longest and the healthiest. And I don't have a problem with vegetables at all if that's what people want to do. I know that there are anti-nutrients. I know that there are anti-nutrients and there are nutrients that can be used. It just all depends on the person's digestive tract, what kind of metabolic destruction they've done, how long they've been doing it, etc., etc., etc. I had I had a nursing home in Indiana ask me to help write their nutritional program for the old people in the home. And I said, I refuse to write the program for you because one of the ladies was on my keto group and she had lost like 60 pounds and it changed her life. She was trying to follow Dr. Berg and the big doctors and stuff like that. And it was just too confusing at times. She needed more of a personal connection. And I had run into her when I was visiting my grandma at the nursing home. And she said, you know, I'm on your keto group. I knew that was you. And I was like, I didn't know that. And she said, would you help me write like a nutritional program? I'm the head lady, kind of like oversees the nursing home. And I said, I can't do that. I'm too susceptible to being sued and stuff like that in case something happens, but I can help you. I'll help. She watches my YouTube. She's very quiet about things because of her position. She can't be too involved with speaking out openly. But we sat down and wrote a cleaner program for the people in the nursing home to eat off of, and it was a very well balanced. Probably I want to say more like a 65% fat kind of deal, like a 10-15% protein. Um, I don't know, like a 10-15% carbohydrate, maybe 20% carbohydrate. It was some of cleaner sources. And she said within just a matter of months, she noticed almost immediately that there was like almost a an awakening of the people that were in the nursing home, that they almost seemed like they were more energetic and they were more aware of what was going on. A lot of the people that had like dementia problems and stuff like that, or like Alzheimer's, that some of the symptoms during certain times of their life or time of day, depending on activity, kind of subsided. And I wish that would have, you know, at 18, 19, 20 years old, went to college to become a doctor so I could be more involved in this type of stuff. But then there's another part of me that says, I probably don't want that. I don't want to have to follow somebody else's standards on how I do things. And then if you go independent sector, you live in debt for years and years and years before you can get anywhere, unless you become a social media star and then you try to start scamming people, which is what the majority of them do. But I'm going to have to keep this video non-monetized, because if I try to monetize it, it's going to pick up that song that was playing during Robert Kennedy's video, and it will probably copyright strike against me or something. I don't know. Okay, well, unless you guys want to talk about anything else before we get off of here, I think that's it. We've beat this horse. Um, I show you guys some of my private interactions with some of these vegan doctors in general, and I know a lot of people think that uh, some of the stories I tell is not true, but then they're shocked by when I come forward and I show them that no, it's legit. Here was mine and Lauren Lockman's complete conversation. I'm 100% sincere when I tell you I try to take it to these guys full bore, and they don't want to do nothing. Vegan Gains doesn't want to do nothing. These vegan doctors don't want to do anything. But when you start backing down and you become this more docile, like quiet, soft person, then that's the people they want to pick on. That's the people that doesn't seem like they have a fighting chance that's going to call them on their bullshit when they're doing their interviews and stuff like that. That's the ones they want to be involved with. And somebody told me a couple of years ago that she said you need to back off some and almost like create a little bit of a show that you're this scared kind of soft person. And I bet your content would blow up a lot more than what it is, because people will start trying to challenge you, and that's when you strike. That's when you come in like a damn cobra, just done. But I can't do that. It's not me. I just cannot do it. I just got to be me. Anyhow, that's it. That's it for tonight, guys. That's all. A whole 3 hours later of doing nothing but talking about veganism and viruses and talking to vegans. Kelly, did you say you muted the baby blue, or what happened with that? I was in the middle of watching the video with the hip song going on, because I don't see them popping up anymore. What happened with too much arguing going on? I figured that was going to happen. I figured one of you guys were eventually going to block them. Yeah. I don't see him at all anymore. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Well, Baby Blue, I like being able to talk to you. I like the fact that you have your own mind made up. I like the fact that just because I say something or somebody else says something, you're not going to believe it. And I think that, eventually maybe we can have some pretty deep conversations if it comes to a point where you're willing to be just as open as I am. And regardless if you're vegan or not, I support whatever you do, as long as you're happy and you're healthy while you're doing it. As long as other people don't get drawn into it and they become unhealthy and happy, then I'm okay with it. Totally cool. Don't have a problem with it, no prejudice towards it or anything at all. It's just a matter of when people like this skinny vegan athlete starts dragging children into the mix that don't have a say-so. That's where I have a problem. Okay. That's it. That's the gist of tonight. And it was fun. Thanks for hanging out with me for as long as you guys have. You didn't have to, and I appreciate it. I love every one of you, and thank you for making all this possible, and just being here to support me. I really, really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome people. I'm done. So if you give it a few seconds, and then we're going to end this broadcast. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate your time as well. Have a great night. Be blessed, as always. We'll do this again soon. And for those of you other 6 people here that aren't talking, I hope you have a great night. I love you all as well. And remember, if you're going to thumbs down this video, don't be a pussy. Tell me why. Have a great night, guys.